because Twitch sucks now, but it's fine. That's fine.
Twitch sucks now.
That's fine. I'm looking into Kick, but nonetheless, right now Twitch sucks now. So no Twitch.
That was quick.
Uh,
Kick?
Kick.
Quick?
It's like a new Twitch sort of
Well,
thing.
isn't there always a new?
Yeah. Anyways,
Um,
let's get this. There's always new things nowadays.
there's always new things.
Let's get this going. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, the only show that talks about wrestling for at least 100 goddamn episodes. That's right, baby. We're here. I'm your host, Ryan Knightsey, and with me, as always, he's returning from vacation. He has gone up and down the West Coast. Some would call him a West Coast pro. Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how you doing?
All right, that was a good one. I'll give it to you. That was a good one.
Thank you.
I'm doing great. Happy to be back. Been a long time. I haven't talked about wrestling in forever. I know I have like recordings that have come out since my vacation started, but it's just not the same. I haven't talked wrestling in over a week, and a lot of stuff has happened that I want to talk about. So I'm very excited. And this is episode 100.
Yeah.
Can't believe we made it. Well, I kind of can, but I can't. You never know. 100 is like, that's the number I think every podcast should strive to be like, okay, we're actually a podcast.
Yeah.
Up until then, it's like, a lot of people most podcasts get to like episode 20 and then they're like, all right, we're done.
Yeah. That's a sad truth in the podcasting game.
We've gone to 100. We've been here every single week. I was going to say every Sunday, but that's not true. We switch a lot.
And sometimes we don't have a live show. We do an interview with a PR representative from Noah, but that's besides the point.
Right. But we got a show every single week talking everything in wrestling. And here we are once again off the heels of the AEW Collision debut.
Yeah, baby.
Let's get into it.
We got a massive show for you today. As you can see here, if you're watching the video version, we have a nice little part of the interruption-esque topic rundown sheet that will, if I did it all correctly, will update as we discuss them. So we got a lot of shit to talk about. What do we got to talk about, you may be wondering? Well, we got, let's see, Collision debuting. We got backstage news about AEW. We got WWE news. We got Forbidden Door coming up next week. We got the G1 Climax blocks announced. We got it. We haven't talked in so long. We give our quick thoughts about Dominion all together again. Against all odds, the Impact pay-per-view. And then there's a Stardom pay-per-view also happening next week.
Dominion.
What's that?
I thought we talked about Dominion.
No, technically last time we talked about Dominion, that was a preview. We haven't reviewed Dominion yet, technically.
We haven't?
No, because the episode came out on that. It was a Thursday. It was the Thursday before Dominion, and if I'm not mistaken, we have not talked about Dominion.
Well, anyways, okay.
Yeah, no, we got a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff, and a bunch of other wrestling news and whatnot. So. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So I say, without further ado, Scotty, again, thank you, audience, for being here. I should say, thank you, everybody, so much for supporting us for these 100 sort of plus episodes with all the bonus interviews and whatnot. But 100 episodes of Ring Post Radio. I am very happy that the show has gone on for this long. I'm very happy that I love doing the show. I love doing the show with you, Scotty. And I love doing the show for the people out there that have been supporting us. Since last week, since a month ago, since day one. Doesn't matter. If you support this show, if you support Ring Post Radio, we thank you, we salute you, and let's get on to the goddamn show. First off, we have to do a little bit of rest in peace to the Iron Sheik. He passed away while Scotty was away. Not saying that those things are correlated, just saying that that's what happened in the timeline. But the Iron Sheik has passed away believing to be have passed away at 81. There's still people are completely unsure how old he technically was, but the Iron Sheik has passed away. Scotty, what? Obviously, we were not old enough to watch any of the Iron Sheik in his run. But have you watched any matches of the Iron Sheik since his passing? And do you have any memories about the Iron Sheik?
I just all my memories of the Iron Sheik is Twitter, and
That's
that's
fair.
how it pretty much always was. Uh no, I did not watch any matches since his passing. I was trying to keep up with wrestling of today while on vacation, which was very difficult, but I managed to do it. Um, but it's a shame because he was like one of WWE's best all time heels. He was everything that they needed to oppose someone like a Hulk Hogan and guys like that back in the day. Um, rest in peace, Sheiky baby.
Yeah, rest in Sheik, rest in Sheik,
Rest
rest
in
in
Sheik.
peace, Sheiky baby. Yeah, no, his Twitter account obviously run by his nephews, I think it was.
Yeah.
He that definitely like he was already like a fantastic legendary heel in WWE, but then having that extended onto Twitter, like and being one of the first like users of Twitter till till today, and being a very active account and being very in the know of pop culture, has kept him relevant to people like us, to people who have obviously have never seen the Iron Sheik, but know
Mhm.
him from Twitter, knowing the guy that constantly tweets in all caps, "Fuck Hulk Hogan." So I think in a weird way, it's like that to us in a weird way. To the younger audience, his legacy is Twitter, which is I think is a very very weird thing. I mean, he was like a weird like wrestling Twitter account that understood how social media worked immediately.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating aspect to his character, I guess. But
Fuck the
yes,
Hulk Hogan.
also fuck Hulk Hogan. Let's talk about AW Collision that took place last night. It was the debut episode of AW Collision out of the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Scotty, we have a lot of shit to talk about, so we're not going to do match by match reviews for anything we're talking about today. But give me your thoughts, your general thoughts about the debut of AEW's new 2-hour show.
I really like the different feel of the show. It feels like its own thing, which I was hoping would happen, because when we've seen two shows, pretty much two brands in say WWE, the shows just feel the same with different colors, right? Raw and SmackDown, they're the same show, they just have different wrestlers, different commentators, but overall they're pretty similar, in production and presentation. Last night, and maybe this is because AEW is still so fresh and new, is that instantly Collision felt different for me. Like the stage was different. Obviously, the colors were different to fit, Collision. But the music, the intro, the commentary, right? Nigel and Kevin Kelly, which when I saw that, I was like, hmm, definitely didn't expect that. But I'm
Yeah.
for it. Old school ROH. Um, you had you just had a different presentation, it felt like it felt I didn't ever feel like I was watching Dynamite for a single second of that show. And the crowd obviously did a lot of work in making the show feel better than maybe it was overall, but that's what wrestling's all about. If a crowd's hot, then the show's hot, and that's what ultimately felt like. And of course, CM Punk did not let me down.
Yeah, the show, I mean, obviously feel wise, completely different feel from Dynamite.
Yeah,
Like astronomically different. I think the commentary still has to find their footing a little bit.
for sure, for sure.
Um, you know,
I think
the
Kevin Kelly needs to get used to calling television
he,
again
yeah, he hasn't called television in a
over a
decade, two
decade.
decades, like a long ass time.
Yeah.
So I think he has to figure that out, and that's fine. feel of it is definitely different. The matches themselves of the show, I didn't think were that great, especially in comparison to like the previous Dynamite, which had like at least a 4-star match for me. Nothing really scraped that high for me on this show. So in that sense, that was a disappointment. But like beyond like match quality, I guess what were we doing with Collision? That idea of what's the booking idea about Collision? I don't even know if I have an answer for that because that's like it was a lot of like
Yeah.
returns with like Andrade returning and Miro returning and fun fact Luchasaurus having his first match of the year and winning the TNT title.
I liked it better that way when he wasn't wrestling. Um, I think yeah, and I think the one thing with this show is they're trying to establish a lot of people at once,
Yeah.
which can be a good thing and a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Because
Or rather not establishing people but reestablishing people.
yeah, reestablishing people. Because for me, after watching that show, I mean, I thought Andrade and Miro came off really well.
Mhm.
I thought Andrade kind of had this huge baby face vibe that I was not expecting him to have at all.
Yeah, yeah, there was a weird
Um,
energy about him.
there is, but he felt a lot more confident in the ring than the last time we saw him in ring. He's always been confident, obviously,
Sure.
but it was more of the Andrade I remember. Now, don't get me wrong, the guy's huge, but he was wrestling like the Andrade that I want to see wrestle, and I thought he looked good. Miro just beat up Tony Nese, but he still did it in a way that obviously got him over. And
Mhm.
it'll be interesting to see like where this goes in weeks to come, obviously, because Chicago's a very specific, unique spot.
Yeah.
It'll be everywhere else. So it's like, okay, what works, what doesn't. And this show isn't gonna be the work rate show. And I think we all kind of knew that. Um, I'm okay with that because that's what Dynamite is. That's
Yeah.
what Dynamite's always going to be. You just need to do more promos and stuff, though. That's the one thing. If you're not gonna be the work ratey show, you know, you'll have work rate match here or there. But if
Sure.
you're not gonna be the in-ring, like, classics type show that Dynamite has pretty much become,
Mhm.
you're gonna need to use those promos to build your shows. I know it's the first show, so I'll wait and see, but, like, the best segment of the night for me was probably the promo, just to kick off the show because it was red hot, and
Yeah,
it's
so
exactly
we gotta
what
talk about that, right? We gotta talk about that CM Punk promo. Okay. Strap in. Just put my seatbelt on. Let's go, right? All right. So give us your thoughts. CM Punk comes out. He takes off the AEW logo, reminiscent of his old WWE days,
Mhm.
and cuts a promo that is very. I think it's fair to say divisive. A very
It
divisive promo.
it's kinda like the scorched earth type promo.
A bold
Um,
move to open up a brand new TV
but
show.
but here's the thing, every single time like, when it was over, I said, "This is the promos that made people love CM Punk in WWE, but now that people love AEW,
Yeah.
they get mad at them."
Well, because what's interesting is like I'm glad you brought that up because it what that element is that people liked it when he did it about WWE because people didn't like WWE, but
Yeah,
people like AEW. So his anti-authority gimmick against AEW, uh, more literal than before, probably in some aspects.
yeah.
Uh, it's divisive. It's divisive. It,
It is
it it
divisive.
allows people to be
He
like,
is, though.
yeah, that's his character. That's Phil Brooks.
That
Um,
is yeah.
I don't know. I
Uh,
felt that as an opening. I don't know. I'm not. I'm first off. I'm going to say everybody gets one. Everybody gets one. He. This is his first time in the microphone since Brawl Out. Chomp chomp.
yeah.
Everybody gets one. He got his one. The Elite got their one when they were in Chicago and came back for the trios titles. And they did the bite and they did the GTS and they did a crappy buckshot lariat that failed. They did
Sounds
their
like a lot of shots.
they did yeah, they did their shots. CM Punk did his to, I guess, Paige and the ESPN thing, and the
Counterfeit bucks. Yeah.
counterfeit bucks here. No, really like Omega thing, but that's fine.
No, because you don't have a problem with Kenny.
Yeah. But but first, all I'm gonna say is everybody gets their one. I'm not gonna be upset at him about that. Because that's as long as he doesn't continue doing that like every single week for the next month or so, I'm gonna be fine. If he comes back next week and he's like, I got some more zingers towards the Young Bucks, I'm like, oh dude, come on, shut up.
He definitely does.
He probably has them loaded.
Locked and loaded.
But beyond that, I think as an opening of a promo, it's interesting. It set, I think, a weird tone for the show. Like, that's what I mean, that like as an opener for a brand new TV show, it set a weird tone because it didn't hype up the new show. It didn't hype up his match. It instead vaguely addressed other rumors surrounding him and whether or not people should actually like him or hate him. But he's not gonna, not gonna back down nonetheless. And then kind of weirdly set up a, the I never lost the title, and weirdly set up a MJF match down the line.
Yeah. The promo wasn't about Collision. It was about CM Punk return.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I look at it. It's about CM Punk coming back and getting all of his stories back on track per se, or get his story on track. Maybe not his stories, because we know at least the Young Bucks and the Elite, that stuff's not going to be happening. But with the MJF one, I thought that was the best part of his promo, because if he just ignored that he was AEW World Champion when he left and just moved on, I don't know, that doesn't make all that much sense. And I thought that was very good. And when you say, it wasn't about the new show, it wasn't about Collision, I think that's kind of what they were going for overall. It's that this is a new show for AEW, but it's still, we got stories going on, we have things going on, we are going full throttle moving forward. We're not just gonna like, oh, here's a premiere and then we'll set things up. We're gonna set things up from the get-go, and hopefully we get to see them all come together, because I thought the MJF stuff was very important. I thought that was very good. The Young Bucks stuff, that was expected. We knew that. But I'm really intrigued to see where Punk goes, and I'm okay with him not talking about the match he was in. I know some people were mad about that, because to me, the match was just set to be a match. He had no problem with them yet. Now you can build on that Samoa Joe feud that's coming up, because now we've seen them in the ring together. Now we've seen them exchange. Now we can build towards that on next week's show, and so on and so forth. But CM Punk has set himself up, has put forward what he's going to be all about. And I think overall, my biggest takeaway is, no matter what, when he grabs that microphone, you have to be listening. That's what he reset easily. It's that no matter what, all ears, all eyes need to be on him when he's talking. And I think that became apparent very, very quickly. And I wonder where, or I wonder how the MJF story will go, because he's in a story already with Adam Cole, obviously. And I don't think that's ending anytime soon. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think he was trying to get all his jabs in while also kind of pushing his story forward, just so it doesn't look like he's passing on the AEW World title.
Yeah, my best guess with the MJF stuff is, I don't know, All Out, maybe? If we're assuming that Adam Cole is... Actually, I don't know where Adam Cole is. Maybe he's on a one-off thing in the summer or something. I would have thought maybe All Out, but I wouldn't think that we're going to hold off Punk until... maybe MJF does All In and then All Out back-to-back Adam Cole, CM Punk. Maybe, I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen with that.
Working champion
Yeah, working champion at the very least.
has never fit the MJF bill, but okay.
Yeah, no, I've said it before in the show that bringing CM Punk into this company and having him gone for so long was like a weird, like you opened the Pandora's box. And I
Yeah.
guess the answer to like what was inside the box is ultimately a CM Punk shaped pipe bomb that we don't know because it does feel like we're on eggshells just a smidge, but I want to
Yeah.
see. I didn't walk away from this episode of Collision really jazzed for the next episode of Collision,
Mhm.
but I'm still gonna watch. I don't know. I right now I feel like I am watching like a car wreck on the side of the road where it's like I don't know what happening to it. It could be nothing, could be something, but I'm just gonna watch it from afar and see what
Interesting.
happens. I'm still gonna watch Collision. Not saying that last night was a car wreck by any means, but just this idea of like I don't exactly know what the not the point. The point's not the word, but you know the philosophy, the feeling, the vibe of Collision that
Sure.
we're supposed to be getting. I
Yeah.
got that Dynamite episode 1. I got that kind of with Rampage episode 1, and then it faltered. I didn't really get that with Collision, and I want to see what that will be, and maybe next week. Maybe what we won't really feel it until after Forbidden Door, because next week will be the go home show for Forbidden
Yeah.
Door. So
It's starting at a weird time
yeah,
where like
yeah.
we're also in the middle of a build towards a pay-per-view that's next week
Hmm.
that some talent may or may not be on or aren't building towards at all. So it's like, all right, let's just wait until that's over.
Yeah.
Um, I'm excited for Joe and Punk
Hmm.
because the moment they stepped in the ring, it felt like it had an electricity that you don't really see two people step in the ring for. We see it very rarely. When Omega and Danielson stepped in the ring for the first time together, you felt that electricity. When Okada and Danielson step in the ring, I'm sure we'll feel that next weekend.
Oh yeah.
I felt that with Joe and Punk. Like the crowd lost their minds when they stepped in there. They didn't have to touch. They just stared each other down and you're like, "All right, this is what I'm here for." Because you know the promo battles between these two are going to be what sells everything.
Yeah.
That's what they're best at, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing Babyface Andrade because I'm just maybe it's more me being confused, but I'm excited for it
Mhm.
because I don't know. He just came off a lot better this go around already to me than last go around in AEW overall.
Mhm.
Like his last time in AEW, he just felt like he was trying to be something that he wasn't.
Yeah.
This felt a lot more natural for him. Just doing cool stuff and looking good in the end
Back elbowing Buddy Matthews into oblivion.
and doing the figure eight. Like that was great.
Yeah.
People lost their minds for that. It's like play to that type of stuff. But I'm definitely with you because those are the two things that I did take away. Everything else was like, not not my cup of tea necessarily.
Yeah.
Luchasaurus winning, LOL. Like this belt is dead,
Yeah.
and that's not a Collision problem. That's an AEW problem, and
Mhm.
it has been for a very long time.
I will say though,
Uh,
Christian celebrating with the title belt
Gave me
is
hope that Christian was the champion.
it was the Jeff Jarrettism of celebrating the title win without having the title, but actually
Yeah,
having the title
yeah,
was
yeah,
perfect. And I liked it. I mean, in a weird way, if you like look at that story as like still part of the Jungle Boy story, like the mentor that was meant to train
yeah.
up Jungle Boy that then turned his back and was able to then get Luchasaurus a title win. Like that is something that's kind of
Yeah.
interesting, especially how Jungle Boy might be playing out moving forward,
Mhm.
and potentially turning heel on Hook.
Uh,
That's
Definitely turning heel on
yeah.
Hook.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. What else did
But
not
yeah,
work?
and
What else did not work for Collision?
what else did not work for Collision? I thought the women's stuff was fine. It was just continuation of the Dynamite women's stuff, so it's not like
Do you think
that Tony Khan has no idea what he's doing with the women's division. Yeah,
Do you think that Mercedes would have been on this show?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think CM Punk had her locked in.
Yeah. That's what I was
I
thinking.
think she was that second surprise.
And especially if she was going to maybe be at Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
And
Do you
you have to
remember?
think she's going to build to the show.
Do you remember how we were talking? Like everyone was talking about that second surprise for the longest time
Mhm.
for the Collision debut. I think it was ultimately going to be her,
Yeah.
wrestling or something, and of course that's not happening now. So I think that definitely didn't help this. What else didn't work? I didn't care about the Miro Tony Nese thing because you just knew it was a squash.
It
But
was it was a squash. Who cares?
I guess it
you
got
know?
the job done for Miro.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued to see. I will say I am intrigued to see. I said with Andrade, but who helps Andrade? Like, is it going to be Roosh and Dralistico? Is that or is it not?
Yeah. That's what's going to be interesting. Is
If
it's,
we work towards Andrade versus Roosh, all right, Collision back on track, baby.
yeah, that's what I want, baby. That's what I want.
I think that's where we're going.
Yeah, and I think that's. I mean, ultimately, like, I don't know where we're going. I guess is that like
No, that's a good thing, but a
In-
bad thing.
it's a good thing in some ways, a bad thing in others, because it's like, okay, they introduced all the players on the board, but
Except for Thunder Rosa.
except for Thunder Rosa. But or at least to us, they introduced all the players on the board, I should say.
Yeah.
Besides Thunder Rosa. But no moves have really been made
Right.
yet. And that's why I'm like, I'm more intrigued to see what happens with Collision episode 2, probably
Yeah.
Collision episode 3, than anything else at this point. I almost feel like we can't judge Collision until then.
Yeah, I agree. I think Collision will have a long-term problem. That, and I've always felt this way. It's CM Punk and everyone else in that a lot of the other mainstays for the brand don't come close to his level.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think that's
Oh,
going
yeah.
to be tough. Like, if you watch this show and you're a first time viewer, maybe you walked away thinking Andrade was a pretty high level star because of how loud his, but otherwise it's like no one else even comes close to this guy.
Maybe
I mean, I'll
maybe
give
Samoa Joe,
Jay
yeah.
White, like,
Yeah.
but like I don't consider them just locked in for this show.
Mhm.
Like Joe's still going to be on Ring of Honor, and Jay and Juice I think will go on Dynamite here and there.
Mhm.
I'm talking Andrade, Miro, Thunder Rosa, Scorpio Sky, like
Starks, Hobbs.
yeah, Starks and Hobbs. Like, I don't think any of them get to that level. But like Punk said, this is a sink or swim scenario for a lot of people on
Yeah.
this show. If they don't make it, you know what? You'll probably be filtered out and you'll bring in the next people and so on and so forth. And I think that's how it should be, truthfully. You don't, because this is a secondary prime time show. You
Mhm.
don't want to just go for, months of mediocrity just to get buried. You want to make people watch this show, and I think they're going to need more people to help do that.
Yeah, and to keep the pool scenario, we just threw everybody into the pool, and next
Yeah.
week and the week after, we'll see who sinks and swims.
Yep.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
So
we won't know what Collision is until week 3, I think.
yeah, I wish we saw more of it. That being said, I do wish there was a specific, mindset of what Collision is.
Yeah.
But the fact that we didn't really get one is, to me, slightly disappointment, but also like, all right, okay, that's what it is, I guess. So,
reintroducing so many people doesn't help.
Exactly. All right, let's talk about the AEW producer system. So obviously it seems that like Tony Khan is starting to assemble backstage a lot more of a writing team, as it were, with a bunch of producers and wrestlers and whatnot. Obviously, we know about Bryan Danielson being more involved, but there is in a weird way, in a bad way, in a good way, a lot of shakeups with AEW backstage as well. In this past week, they hired Impact's Jimmy Jacobs and also former Impact wrestler Kevin Matthews as producers for AEW. This was also following it was unrelated, but follows after AEW earlier this week fired BJ Whitmer, a former wrestler and AEW backstage producer that has been with the company since the beginning, after a domestic violence arrest. So BJ Whitmer's out, Jimmy Jacobs is in, Kevin Matthews is in, and also, as per Fightful yesterday, apparently on a quote unquote trial basis, a name that was said that was backstage in sort of a producing content role was Chris Hero. So a lot of shakeups backstage in AEW, and I guess also kind of with Jimmy Jacobs backstage in Impact. How do you feel about all of these producing shakeups for AEW, and do you think they're positives? Do you think they're negatives? How do you feel about them?
I want to applaud AEW for making the move on BJ Whitmer immediately. That's the type of thing you want to see out of a company, obviously. On the other ends, Chris Hero, I think that's a if he's ultimately brought in full time, I think that's a great get. I think we both agree on that. We were singing his praises when West Coast Pro was bringing him in. I don't know what that means for that. That'd be kind of tough if he just kind of started that and got kind of had to leave immediately for AEW. But hey, why can't he do both?
It could mean that
just an
West
indie.
Coast becomes like a feeder for AEW, which
That would be good.
they got a lot of talent over there.
They do. I think Chris Hero is a great get, especially for Collision. That's a guy that's obviously worked with Punk. That's someone that I think can really connect with him on ideas, and I don't know, maybe somewhere down the line, because he said recently he's not done wrestling.
Mhm.
Maybe he gets back into ring shape, and who knows? Maybe you have an angle there somewhere. But as a producer, I like that. Jimmy Jacobs, that's a guy that a lot of people love in that company. I'm actually shocked it took this long
Yeah.
for him to get there. So that was like, oh, all right. I mean, it took a while, but he was the guy that was fired from WWE for taking the picture with the elite. So I think it's pretty cool that he's in there finally. I'll wait and see what his ideas end up being, because I guess we don't ever really know, because you know Impact wasn't an exciting TV show
No.
by any means, but
And a lot of Jimmy Jacobs ideas were spooky based. So
yeah, and I don't want many spooky things. So
no.
I'll wait and see. But since he's so friendly with a lot of them, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and if I don't recall, he has a lot of spooky ideas, but he's also the guy that with Jericho constructed the Chris Jericho Kevin Owens segment from years ago. I forget what the name of that segment was, the Celebration of Friendship or something like that. But they constructed that together, so they have ideas. I don't know how he is at producing like matches and whatnot, because I don't know what he's been producing. All I know is what content esque things he's produced, and one of them is like peak WWE, all things perfectly working. The other one is spooky stuff. So with him, we'll see. With Kevin Matthews, I know nothing about him. I just know he's a former wrestler. I don't know how I think this is his first producing role ever. And then Chris Hero, I think if West Coast can become a feeder system, that could be interesting. He obviously, him in the room to me is also huge, especially if he stays, because he will have a lot more of that, have a little bit more of that Southern charm to it, but also have a lot more of that strong style, puro thing to it. And already, as we've seen with West Coast Pro, is slowly amassing a lot of Joshi contacts, which I think could be really cool for having in AEW. I think we could use another wave of Joshi wrestlers in AEW. So
you will get Sky Blue and you will like it.
Look, man, I guess I'll accept Sky Blue for now, but if I could pick up, I don't know, Mio Momino or something, that could be fun.
Hey, that's fine. Be better than not wrestling at all. I will say, here's the number one. Sky Blue, by the way, has been on 3 straight AEW television episodes, which is wild. I'm hoping this all means good TV. That's what I mean. At the end of the day, that's all I give a shit about. I don't care. I don't care about the backstage politics anymore. I don't. Brawl Out took it all out of me. I don't care anymore. Just create good wrestling television. That's what Dynamite's been doing. That's what I hope Collision goes on to do. That's all I'm asking for. Rampage is dead. I don't give a shit.
Moving on.
Rampage is only good if you put cool matches on it. Otherwise, I ain't watching it.
Speaking of AEW in 2024, it seems like, based on an interview on Post Wrestling that Tony Khan had, he confirmed that Battle of the Belts will be continuing, despite Collision showing up on Saturday. That, to me, that reads as it's going to be that extra hour of Rampage. That's what Battle of the Belts will be. That's just, I assume, what they're going to do since they did that in the past. And then he confirmed that wrestling fans will be able to see AEW on television in the new year, sort of continuing to hint at this idea that it looks like the option was picked up in AEW's Warner Media contract, so it looks like they will be around at least till September 2024 in Warner Media. So how do you feel about Battle of the Belts? And how do you feel about them having another year? Is that a surprise to you at all?
I forgot about Battle of the Belts. I hate that show. Wardlow versus Luchasaurus belongs on Battle of the Belts.
The Wardlow versus Luchasaurus screams Battle of the Belts to me.
It does. Instead, it was the first match on Collision.
It will forever go down in the history books as the first match on Collision. Luchasaurus beating Wardlow for the TNT title.
Well, the good news is they're around till 2024. That, getting the option's always a good thing. I just hope. I desperately hope. And listen, Tony Khan's a businessman. I'm not. I'm just a person talking on a microphone about pro wrestling. But I do hope that Tony Khan is willing to hear people out if Warner Media doesn't give him the right price and the right points. Because that's what this is at the end of the day. You're trying to get the best deals possible for your brand. I know Warner Media has done a lot for AEW. I mean, we're talking about a brand new television on their stations, for God's sakes, right now. But just be smart, Tony. Please. Please be smart. Don't settle.
Yeah.
If they give you a good deal, take it. Great. Awesome. And I'm sure they will. I don't expect them to leave Warner Media. But WWE left the exclusive rights deals with both Fox and NBC Universal, and they're going to go get themselves the best deal.
Oh, yeah, that was on the docket next. WWE TV rights deals. They have left the exclusive windows with NBC Universal and Fox. They left Fox a couple weeks ago, and they've officially left NBC Universal. So they are on the seas. Big Nick Khan is looking for a hefty bag of change for his wallet, because they are looking for those new TV rights deals. And piggybacking off of the AEW option year, it's nice that the option year is picked up, because then AEW can see what WWE gets, what their value is done. And a lot of the reason that AEW was able to sell itself is based off the TV rights value that WWE got. So if they get, as Nick Khan thinks, I think he said like a 1.5, 2-time deal, then AEW is looking good. And AEW is already famously underpaid for the amount of stuff that they put out and the amount of ratings that they get. So I think that could look good for them. WWE, where do they go? The idea is, well, they could stay on Fox. They can stay on USA. There is also
Fox.
Yeah, they're probably going to try to do Fox. I know. We also know that they have mentioned that they would want to have a deal that simulcast onto cable, like if they did with USA, they would want to simulcast onto NBC. Don't think that would ever happen if Monday Night Raw has to stay on Monday nights, which Nick Khan has said we're willing to move it. So that will be interesting, because it's not going to work with Monday Night Football. But the other places that were pitched were Disney's FX, working with Disney. There's also Apple TV, Amazon Prime, and then, of course, Warner Media as the dark horse. Where do you think WWE could go?
Why? If Disney bought them, what the hell is keeping them off of ABC? There's nothing on ABC. This is going to become a TV tangent right now. But I've never watched something on ABC. There's nothing. I understand, like, the finals is on ABC because ESPN puts stuff on there, but that's like 2 weeks out of the entire year. There's nothing on ABC that could keep Raw / SmackDown off of it.
Mhm.
So I just want to say that. FX is fine. It's whatever. Same basis as the USA Network, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think Disney. I think they do have a play here. I think being part of the Disney brand is something that WWE would love to be part of. Of course, there's the connection to UFC through
Yep.
Endeavor that is already as part of the Disney family via ESPN.
Mhm.
So I think that's interesting. Um, I think Apple has been one that's popped in and out. How serious are they about bringing live content to Apple TV?
Yep.
If they're really serious, and this is going there. But the furthest they've gone is Major League Soccer, which I would say they went pretty far. They went and got Lionel Messi for their
Mhm.
league, so maybe they are willing to go pretty far.
Sure.
Which is a big part of that. I think they're paying part of the TV rights to him
Yes.
to make
Yeah,
sure
I
he's
think I
there,
read that as well.
which is pretty insane. So, all right, maybe I've been stopped in my tracks. And then they've also paid a little bit for baseball as well. So if they're serious, I think it's an intriguing option.
Mhm.
It's not maybe the most intriguing option for wrestling fans,
Yeah.
but for WWE, it absolutely is. Just go get the bag. I don't care. Like at the end of the day, go get the bag. And I will say, I just wanted to make this comment. I do find it very funny that NXT is a third brand all of a sudden when TV rights deals comes up.
Great point. We have more content to sell, and hopefully
Yeah.
Seth Rollins pulls a number that can make people happy.
This is the thing about like pulling a number on NXT. There's no such thing as that. It has its base audience, and maybe 100K will jump
Yeah.
in. I don't care if they put Roman Reigns on the damn show. I don't think it's changing. Okay, maybe Roman Reigns was a bad example. Anyone else below Roman Reigns?
Yeah.
They're not pulling this big change, and I think it'll be interesting.
And
I wonder. I think this is the other part that we're not talking about. How many relationships do they sell these shows to?
Mhm.
Because why are we acting like they're gonna put them all under one umbrella? They
Good
didn't do
point.
that this past time.
Good point.
If they could sell Raw to one place, NXT to I don't know, if anyone else, if someone buys NXT solo, they're nuts. But if you buy NXT by itself, good for you. Someone buys SmackDown. If SmackDown and Raw are two different things, maybe one's on Apple and one's on Disney.
Mhm.
How could you be upset as WWE? They're going to do just fine, whether it's on NBC Universal. They're not going to be on Fox
Mhm.
or elsewhere. I think NBC Universal should be out of the question, though. They've been there forever.
Yeah, and I mentioned it before, but they're doing it at a time now where in real life the WGA strike is happening. So
Yes.
no original content is being made. At the same time, luckily enough for WWE, they have a massive TV rights deal happening with live content. 6 hours of live content immediately available plus streaming content for 52 weeks of the year. That's a lot of stuff, and these TV networks aren't going to have anything written till probably September, and then they
Right.
start filming, and like fall TV lineup is completely out the window practically, because right now is when writers would be typically writing for fall TV. uh there could be scabs all over the place, but who the hell knows? We don't like them. But at the very least, if you bring in WWE, that is, or if they split it up, but at the most 6 hours of TV content that you automatically have that you don't have to write for, and that it takes a lot of stuff off your back. So they've stumbled across a good time for WWE. So I would say good on them, I should say. One bad thing that they may have stumbled across is this continued lawsuit between WWE and MLW, because this past week, the judge in the case denied WWE's motion to dismiss the MLW antitrust lawsuit. So it is continuing. In the 14-page statement, Judge Edward Avila disagreed with several points in WWE's motion, including their stance that wrestling is an interchangeable programming option for broadcasters, and that, quote, the court finds that MLW has sufficiently pleaded circumstantial evidence of WWE's monopoly power. So yeah, this thing is continuing. From Thursday's denial, quote, at the pleading stage, MLW's allegations of the revenues generated from the sale of professional wrestling media rights and WWE's 92% share of that revenue, with the next largest competitor possessing a 6% share, are sufficient to show dominance in the marketplace. In addition to defining the relevant market and alleging WWE's dominance in that market, MLW has also sufficiently alleged barriers to entry as required to show circumstantial evidence of market power. So the judge in this case believes that there is truth to what MLW is saying, that WWE has a lot of the market share and controls a lot more of the market than most people probably believe. So this case is continuing. Will MLW never stopping to take down WWE? Will they do it? What do you think, Scotty? Do you think MLW can win this lawsuit?
I can't believe we're still talking about this. Like, I can't believe this is still going. Will they win? I don't know. They'll probably just get bought off eventually. Like if you make yourself enough of a threat in the courtroom to WWE, eventually they're just going to give you money so you go away. Right? That's kind of how everything works for them. So I think that's what's going to happen here. Like, listen, MLW isn't going to just get bigger because they win this lawsuit.
Sure.
No one's watching their shows. It's just not going to happen. No one cares. And that's how I feel about it. But good for them that they continue to fight the good fight. And, they got screwed without being on Tubi. So that's what this is all about. It's all about Tubi. It's not even like not even like they were gonna get on like some form of like decent Fox. It was just gonna be Tubi.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by the lawsuit just because, obviously the judge believes that this is a case and it's going to come down to
It is a case.
It's a fair case. I think I'm fascinated to see, let's say MLW wins, what that would mean for WWE. If they say that WWE is a monopoly or whatever, how they would then break up the WWE monopoly. That seems fascinating to me. What would that look like?
Though? I don't think they can. like in all seriousness, like how do you break up the monopoly without just being like, all right, MLW, here's your money. Like Tubi's not just gonna be like, oh, we'll take you now.
Let's Google how to break a monopoly. Let's see.
There you get something about the board game.
Nothing. This doesn't tell me anything. Sherman Antitrust Act. That's the thing that the lawsuit's about. There's no real help here. I'm not a lawyer. But I think that's interesting. I think it's interesting, the thought experiment that is continuing, and the fact that the judge fully believes that there's a case here. MLW has a shot here. And if MLW's entire purpose in the world was to somehow break up WWE, all right. I'm okay with that. That's fascinating to watch. So
MLW did what WCW and AEW couldn't.
I just think that would be fascinating. Let's move right along and talk about Forbidden Door. Forbidden Door coming up next week, June 25th, out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, in the Scotiabank Arena. This, of course, is the AEW New Japan crossover show. We will probably have more matches announced, but boy, howdy, Scotty.
God, I hope so. There's only 4.
There's only 5 announced, technically, but 4 announced, but 5 presumed. If there are more, I don't even need these extra 3 matches. The 2 we already had announced were fantastic. Now we got 5 matches that are fantastic. Who knows what else is going to be on this goddamn card? Where's Evil? That's what I want to know.
That's right, folks. You heard it here first. Ryan said a match with Jungle Boy is fantastic. Things
Well,
are happening.
yeah, I guess I did say
You
that.
said it. No. You said it.
I didn't explicitly say it, but I implied it, didn't I?
You implied it, and that was enough for me to call you out on it.
So the matches that are announced, or presumed to be announced so far, are the Sonata versus Jack Perry IWGP World Heavyweight Title match, Orange Cassidy versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the AEW International Title, MJF versus Hiroshi Tanahashi for the AEW World Title, Bryan Danielson versus Kazuchika Okada, and Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay for the IWGP US Heavyweight Title. I presume more matches will be announced in this upcoming week, but already, Scotty, how you feeling? Give me the vibe check on Forbidden Door.
It's so good. It's so good. Just okay. You went over the lineup. This was the lineup last year. Okay. It was Bishamon versus the Factory.
Oh, yeah.
Lance Archer versus, this is all the pre-show, but
Sure.
Lance Archer versus Nick Comoroto. Swerve in Our Glory versus Suzuki Goon. I remember that being kind of fun.
That was good.
And the Max Caster and the Gun Club beating LA Dojo. Minoru Suzuki and the Sex Gods versus Eddie Kingston, Shooter, Wheeler Yuta, FTR versus Young Empire and Roppongi Vice, Pac versus Clark Connors, Miro and Malachi Black. You get my point. You just have like all these matches that just kind of had to get strung together because the big hitters weren't available.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's so many big hitters available, and we don't have half of them on the show yet.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because we have two of the biggest matches of the entire year as your double main event. And those aren't even involving the world title. The world titles happen to be interesting matches with Sonata and Jack Perry probably bringing out the best of both of them because it's going to be a fast-paced Sonata match, and you know how much we love those.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for that one. Mm-hmm. And then you got MJF working Hiroshi Tanahashi. Could you name a better opponent for MJF as the dickhead heel than the Ace? Than the ultimate baby face? Nah, this is everything. I didn't need anything after Okada and Danielson. I really didn't. I didn't give a shit about anything else. I was like, we're set. We're good. This is the match. This is all that matters. And then they said, all right, we're going to have both world title matches defended.
Yep.
Or both world titles defended. And they ended up being good. We're probably going to have Orange Cassidy and Zack Sabre Jr., which is going to obviously be great.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be more.
Yeah.
We don't even have the Blackpool Combat Club on here yet.
We don't even have any tag titles on here yet.
Oh my god, this is wonderful.
This is already shaping up as another show of the year contender. I mean, this Forbidden Door.
It's not even a
fantastic.
contender. I'm going to call it the show of the year as long as those last two matches deliver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's unbelievable.
We're going to probably have Tony Storm and Willow, which is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that was Mercedes. So, you know, but that was going to be Mercedes and Saraya. And like,
yeah, Saraya's been gone too, I've noticed.
Yeah, that's fine.
She's been disappeared.
But let's preview this show, huh?
Yeah. Well, did you see the Hiroshi Tanahashi preview? Not preview, but the promo from Tanahashi.
MJF's name, correct?
Yes. He is constantly. He's like, oh, "What is it? What is it?" And at the end of it, he's like, "I'll figure it out when I wrestle him." like I don't know who this guy is, but I'll make sure I know who you are.
Deserved.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for this. Zack Sabre Jr. Orange Cassidy. That's the match. That will be. I think that's going to be really good. I think that. Omega, Ospreay, Okada.
15-minute sprint.
Yeah, Jack Perry Sonata will be a 15-minute sprint. Ideally, it should be a 15-minute sprint where Jack Perry loses.
Well, because Jack Perry's definitely going to lose.
100%. 100%.
The interesting thing is, right, is like those two big matches, they're going to get a lot of time.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
So how do you book the rest of the show? Because I'm gonna guess last year had 13 total matches, 4 on the pre-show, 9 on the main card.
Jesus. We
Um,
have 5, 6 if you do Willow versus Storm.
so I'm gonna guess this year is 8 or so on the main card, and then you have to have pre-show matches, I think.
Yeah. So we're adding.
This
We have
time
to
around.
add. If we're already adding Willow and Storm. Then we have to add 2 more matches on top of that.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll have the Blackpool Combat Club on there, or you should at least. We've teased Sting and Darby. I'm thinking maybe it's dudes with attitude versus Jericho, Suzuki, and Guevara.
Do you see that they changed that match for Dynamite?
Yeah, they changed it to them with Suzuki against
It was like Action
the
and
ROH
Andretti,
guys.
AR
Yeah.
Fox, and the
So
Darius Martin.
right. So I'm guessing that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna put some form of that on pay-per-view instead, which is a weird switch, but
Mhm.
all right. But yeah, there's just so much to like about this.
Is Dudes with Attitude? Do you think we're gonna have Shingo in there as the other dude?
Gotta have this. He's a key part of the dude with attitude.
Well,
He's the guy with the attitude.
we could have him in the Dudes of Attitude thing, but we also could have who was originally the 4th member of that Dudes of Attitude team, Hiromu,
That's true. I forgot about him.
because remember he popped out
That's
because of
possibility.
COVID, I think.
That's a possibility. Let me.
And then
Is the CMLL shows this week that they're doing the Fantastic Mania or whatever in CMLL?
I think maybe they're this upcoming week. I want to say that they are. I'm not 100% confident in that, but I want to say that they are.
Let me take a look ski real quick.
Yeah, I mean Naito would be in the area. There's always Naito and Bushi and Doki. Doki's available.
They're doing it June 30th, so that means Naito, Desperado, they will be around.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if Naito's around, you get him on the show. I don't care if he's wearing a t-shirt or not. He is someone you get on that show. But yeah, this is and is it me or does it feel like we should just leave the Bullet Club stuff out? Like don't do it.
Well, hold on. Are we counting House of Torture? Because I think
Well, that's different.
Before.
That's different.
House of Torture.
I don't count them in the Bullet Club stuff anymore. I don't think I've yet to see Evil and Alex Coughlin side by side.
There was a picture tweeted out today that was Coughlin, Connors, Kid, and Maloney flexing next to Dick Togo, and I was like, "All right, baby, House of Torture is in. Woo! Let's get it. Let's get it."
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to add to this. You just have to have Blackpool Combat Club on here because
I pitched it: Blackpool Combat Club versus House of Torture.
That would be such a bad decision. Based off of what Blackpool Combat Club's doing right now and the level they're at and who's available in New Japan, that would make sense. Because here's the thing. Moxley needs to be on the show because he's doing stuff with them.
Yeah.
All the time again. Like he is going to Japan for the Independence Day shows. He's having 2 matches on those shows now.
Yeah. Do you think that we could do a match of like Moxley, Shooter versus Despy and Ren Narita? Maybe. That's something.
I mean, I wouldn't be upset.
Tease. Suzuki would possibly be busy if we're putting him with the Sting stuff with Jericho.
Sure.
And then Narita
That'd be a
and
good
Despy,
choice.
yeah. And then you could do Jun Kasai, but I feel like you save him. Yeah. I know. This show's gonna be good, man. There's so many other matches that could happen that, like, this is what's great about these years, and also kind of why I like a roster split is that, like, when they do come together, if you hold them off for so long and they come together, you have all these abundance of match combinations that any one of them we could come up with would be fantastic.
Why don't you just do Blackpool Combat Club versus LIJ?
You could do that.
Naito, Shingo, and Hiromu. Call it a day. Or you bring over the big Suge, but I don't know if anyone can handle the Gene Blast right now.
if you, if anyone's ready to get gene blasted, it's a Toronto,
Brian
Ontario
Knightsey.
camp.
Oh.
Well, hold on. Is there any other thoughts about Forbidden Door that you have? I think this show is going to be fantastic.
I think Bryan Danielson versus Kazuchika Okada, if they go 20 minutes or more, will be the match of the year.
That's probably true.
That is my confidence level.
That is probably true. I mean,
I think Okada, and we'll talk about this with All Together again, but I think Okada is at maybe the highest level I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
In terms of his intensity, his character work. I know a lot of people love the long ass IWGP title run, understandably so, but there's something different about Okada, and the fact that that's going against Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, baby.
A saved up, healthy Bryan Danielson. Man, that's something. Also, I don't know, but it's gonna be a hell of a time trying to watch Omega and Ospreay try to not only match themselves, but also match Danielson and Okada. And I think Danielson and Okada is your main event.
I was going to say, what's the main event here? You have 2 dream matches. You have a dream match, you have a IWGP US Heavyweight rematch, and you have 2 world titles.
How do you... Here's a good question for you.
Sure.
Or it's not... I know the answer. But how do you keep the world titles out of the main event? You put biggest dream match with no title on the line in the main event. Yeah. That's like putting the US title. I understand the matches. I understand it's a bigger match, but putting the US title over them in the main event would just look funny to me. I don't know about anyone else, but it's like, oh, the IWGP US champion over the AEW World and New Japan World. Like the US title has never mattered unless it's between Ospreay and Kenny. Like they've made it matter. So I'm guessing it's Okada and Danielson, and I think that's the right way to go because that's the match of this show for me because we've never seen it before.
By the way, we also never mentioned Punk being on the show in any capacity, but he's also a huge member of this roster who is now back.
Yep.
And if you want to do Bullet Club, you can continue it. You could do CMFTR versus David Finlay and the War Dogs as a trios match.
That would be definitely be a match.
That will be a match, and we probably have an idea who the winner is going to be. But that's besides the point.
Better not be Bullet Club.
But you know, like that's the thing. It's like you got Moxley not on the show right now. You have Punk's not on the show. Are we going to bring these guys on? You have a bunch of other people not on the show.
Sure. Shibata's probably going to be on the show.
I don't know, maybe.
I don't know. I'm looking at the lineup of like for New Japan. It's like there's so many people that just aren't on this yet.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you have to get Shooter on this show because Shooter last year used that to kind of propel himself to because he had a star-making. He lost, but he had a star-making performance. I thought last year. You have Tsuji obviously as a possibility. You got oh my god, there's just so much we need. There's not enough time, folks. And we're having the New Japan, the Owen Hart tournament matches.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about what those single matches will probably be.
I hope they don't involve Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs.
Well, we know for a fact they're in the tournament, so they're probably going to be involved.
Give me Powerhouse Hobbs and Shingo.
Powerhouse Hobbs and Ishii.
Powerhouse Hobbs and Gene Blast.
Yes. Now we're talking. Now I want to see Powerhouse Hobbs get Gene blasted out of his boots. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. And then Ricky Starks as well against Show. Let's move right along to the G1 Climax blocks were announced along with the schedule, but
Did you say Show?
I don't know.
And we're gonna move on from this.
Pull a name out of my butt. G1 Climax, the blocks were officially announced. Where we left off, we talked about the participants that were announced, and now we have the blocks. So let's get some quick thoughts on these. In A block, what we sort of thought would have been maybe the Okada block. It's not the Okada block, but in fact, it's the Sonata block.
It is the Okada block without Okada.
I guess that's true. So we got Sonata, Chase Owens, Hikuleo, Ren Narita, Shota Umino, Yota Tsuji, Gabe Kidd, and Kaito Kiyomiya. Thoughts on this block? We
What
kind
do
of
I
already.
have to do to get Chase Owens and Hikuleo the hell out of this block? What do I got to do?
I was listening to Chris Samsa, I think, on the flagship, and he made a good point of like Chase Owens being in this block. What is the only good thing you get out of Chase Owens in this block is he can then go backstage and tell the upper management, "Hey, okay, this guy's good. You know this. He's going to be wrestling a bunch of young guys, right? So he's going to be able to go back there and be like, all right, this guy's good. This guy's fine. He's the guy that can give information versus like Sonata versus I think those are only two. Hikuleo's not going to be giving information to the upper management team. That's the only upside to Chase Owens being in this block to me. But yeah, I know you don't.
There's no upside to Chase Owens being in this block. This lousy fuck sucks. I don't want him on here. I don't like him. I don't like who he is. I don't like that he's in this. I can't stand him. That being said, looking forward to the young guys showing up.
Yeah.
I love that Kaito's in this, but I really wish Sonata wasn't, because I really wanted one of the young guys and Kaito to make it out.
Yeah.
But like, how do you have the world champion not be one of the two to make it out of the block?
It's a great point. It's certainly possible, but it would involve a couple losses, and it's just a matter of like, who are those losses?
Sonata could lose to like Shota and Tsuji. I mean, Sonata will lose to Tsuji.
Yeah,
but
I think Sonata and Tsuji is a good one.
Like, he could lose to those two, but you're not going to have him lose to Kaito, because then it's like you had your world champion lose to Noah guy.
Yeah, I could see Hikuleo beating Sonata. They did just they belted up Hikuleo with the strong title.
Nasty.
I wouldn't like it, but I think they could. It would be more believable because of the whole belting up situation. If we had to pick three people, it's Hikuleo, it's Hikuleo, it's Yota Tsuji. I don't know. I think Kaito Kiyomiya has an outside chance.
If we were to pick three people, I'd just do Shooter, Yota, and Kaito and just make it simple.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Can't keep it that way. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I will say that, hey, I get to skip 14 matches in this block, so that's nice.
I will also say one downside I have about this block is that there's a bunch of the young guys are in it. I wish they were more separate.
All the young guys in it?
Not all of them are in it, but
all the Okada young guys.
Yeah, that's true. They're all fighting for a chance to beat up Okada in the semifinals. Because if I'm not mistaken, at the semifinals, it's the winner of the A block and the winner of the B block will go head to head.
Oh man, try to have fun trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
that was painful. Yeah. I was like, I don't know what this means. I think Samson probably has it.
Probably. But while you look that up, I'm going to say that the one bad side to having a bunch of the young guys in the same block to me is I've always a big proponent of the G1 in tournaments like this, the 5-star, are tournaments where people can figure themselves out. And I think it will be, as we kind of saw with the Best of Super Juniors, when you have a lot of the younger guys who are figuring themselves out against other young guys who are figuring themselves out, you don't really get like a coherent guy coming out of the tournament. They need more experienced wrestlers, and there aren't a lot of experienced wrestlers in here. The most experienced wrestler in here, the two most experienced wrestlers that are in here that are Chase Owens and Sonata, if I'm not mistaken. And Sonata is also kind of figuring himself out to a certain extent, and then the other one's Chase Owens. So, a lot of these guys are still have to figure themselves out, and I don't think it's the best block for them to do so. That's my one downside to this block.
I think doing it together is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tsuji and Shota, having a match against one another to try and bring each other up is exciting. I think the same goes for Narita with them. I think that's the interesting part, but I'm definitely with you. It's like I wish they had one more heavy hitter with them,
Yeah.
like a Shingo or some guy like that would really bring the best out of them. But hey, you're still going against the world champion, no matter how you slice it.
Hmm.
Even if Sonata's still figuring himself out in this new role, I think Sonata's still already better than what he was. So I'll take that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this is the quarterfinals and then the semifinals. Thank you, Chris Samsa at the Chris Samsa quarterfinals. A1 versus C2, B1 versus D2, C1 versus B2, and D1 versus A2 is the quarters. With the semifinals being A1 or C2 versus B1 or B2, and C1 versus B2. No, C1 or B2 versus D1 and A2. So as you can tell,
You
I
just
had no help there, but that is it.
yeah.
Okay, so your only shot at getting Kaito and Okada is the semis or finals.
Yes. I think.
Yes, no, that is correct. I remember someone saying that.
Okay. Yeah. So that I think that's interesting. I would like. I think we could be on the path of like Kaito Kiyomiya versus Okada at Wrestle Kingdom. I think
I think
that's
so.
my best guess. I could see Kaito maybe beating Okada in the semifinals, and then, but then going on to the finals. No, that seems weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe like Shooter beats Kaito in this. No, because they're in different things. It's being split up differently.
they changed the length this year too, right? 20 minutes.
Yeah, they shorten it to 20 minutes, which is good in some ways, but for the most part, most of the matches on average, according to Chris Samsa, World of Sport. Let's give him a proper plug. World of Sport. World of Sport. No, that's a London thing. World of Pro Wrestling.
World
Whatever.
of Pro Wrestling.
I'll
World of Pro
butcher his
Wrestling.
plug. Have him on the show. He'll do the plugs proper. He also stated that like the average of match length for G1 Climax is sub 20 minutes, so it's like it's shorter, but it's
Not that
like
big of a change.
they're already shorter than 20 minutes, so it's not that
Yeah,
huge of a
it's
deal.
just the main events.
Yeah. That's a good point. The B block: Kazuchika Okada, Yoshihashi, Taichi, Kenta, Great Khan, Will Ospreay, Tangaloa, and El Phantasmo. I'm already circling Okada and Ospreay. I'm gonna circle Ospreay and El Phantasmo because that should be good. I'm circling Ospreay, Great Khan. I'm basically circling Ospreay matches.
Real original for the Ryan Knightsey brand.
I'm circling Taichi and Kenta for some reason. I feel like that's interesting to me.
You're like, they're gonna bring out the King's Road versus Noah.
Let's
Yeah,
do it, baby.
Noah.
Let's do it. All Japan versus Noah. Let's throw it back. What do you think about B block?
Watch Yoshihashi and Taichi just have an absolute banger. I know it. I know it. B block is the Okada and Ospreay block. There you go.
Mhm.
They're winning.
Yeah, yeah. I think
They
there's
made that clear.
I think they're winning. I think if we wanted to pick a third outside dark horse person, I think El Phantasmo's up there just because they're pushing him a little bit. Um, Taichi maybe Taichi, but now with Sonata as the lead, just five guy, I don't really know.
Guy.
Just five
Yeah,
guy.
it's Okada and
Yeah,
Ospreay.
yeah.
Not the prettiest block.
But a solid one.
I mean,
It's a solid block.
if it was Kenta that I enjoy, then yeah, but it's not.
That's why I'm circling the Taichi match. Let's get.
If
That's the only match where I think we can get the Kenta we enjoy.
Tangaloa hasn't wrestled in like a decade.
Yeah, he's coming back from injury.
Yoshihashi's good. He's a worker. ELP, this will be a good block for him.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it's a fine block. Nothing special.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly solid. We're gonna get matches that are solid in here.
Yeah.
C block: David Finlay, Tomohiro Ishii, Evil, Tama Tonga, Shingo Takagi, Aaron Hanari, Eddie Kingston, Mikey Nichols. Now I know what you're thinking, Scotty. Eddie Kingston, Ishii, Shingo, those should be some heavy hitter matches. But I want to really quickly circle the match that everyone knows is the best match on here, and that is, of course, Evil versus Tama Tonga, my guy. That, of course, is going to be the match of the tournament yet again, baby! Yet again!
I know Finley and Evil's a main event for one night.
Yes, that is true. That's an interesting Bullet Club drama of a match right there.
Yeah. I think this block is better than people acted like. It's not great,
I
but
like it.
it's
I think it might be my favorite block. I think it might be my favorite block.
uh, I don't know if I have a favorite block. It's not bad though,
No,
and I think that's okay. I think the same goes for D block. D block only has one low point,
but that low
which I
point
think
in
is
D block is rough.
it's very low. But I don't have to watch any matches,
Because
so
what's
it's
the
okay.
low point? What's the low point of C block? It's
Mikey
either
Nichols
evil. It's either evil or Mikey Nichols. Pick your poison.
or Aaron Hanare.
Aaron Hari's fine.
No, he stinks.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I think C block has higher highs. They don't
yeah, for
have
sure.
as low of lows as other blocks do. But I think they have some higher highs.
Well, yeah, but you're like the only person that's gonna sing the praises of Tama versus Evil every day,
As I
every
should
week.
and as
I
I
know, man.
shall.
I know, I know. This should be fine. I think it's a crime if Shingo's not leaving this block.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. The top two
Because
guys here.
I will say this block has the most like interesting possibilities in
Mhm.
terms of potential people leaving it as the winner. Like Hanari's not,
No.
Nichols isn't, Ishii's not, but everyone else is in play.
Yeah, Evil's always an outside chance. Finley's getting pushed. Kingston, who knows? Shingo, obviously good chance as well.
And have you seen the final nights?
No, I have not. For the final nights of the quarterfinals.
We'll go over it, but they do not give you a clue of who's moving on.
Great.
And I think that's exciting.
D block: Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tetsuya Naito, Hiroki Goto, Zack Sabre Jr., Toru Yano, Jeff Cobb, Shane Haste, and Alex Coughlin. In the same breath that A block had a lot of young guys, and I wish that they had more year experience guy, I'm circling Alex Coughlin post G1 tournament. Alex Coughlin will have matches against Cobb, Sabre, Goto, Naito, and Tanahashi, along with Shane Haste and Toru Yano. Alex Coughlin, I'm big time circling to see what he looks like coming out of this tournament.
Big Alex Cog.
I got big Alex Coughlin-esque eyes on him.
You got Coughlin fever.
What I'm trying to do his face.
I think this, like I said, I think this is a pretty good block. I think outside of Yano, you have a lot of good matchups.
Mhm.
I think it's Naito, and then take your pick between Cobb, Sabre.
Yeah, it's interesting because Tanahashi is not like, I don't think he is a solid pick to be a winner of this block.
No, he also, so here are your final block nights, which is never easy because let me tell you, you can't guess based off of these.
Oh,
We got Sonata versus Chase Owens.
Yeah, baby. Strap in.
Red Narita versus Kaito Kiyomiya. That's a good one. Shota Umino versus Hikuleo. Sure. And Yota Tsuji versus Gabe Kidd.
I mean, Yota Tsuji, Gabe Kidd should be fantastic.
Should be, but hey, maybe Yota Tsuji will be bad.
How dare you?
Just kidding.
Just
kidding.
I hope he Gene Blast. I hope he Gene Blast the hell out of you.
August 6th, El Phantasmo versus Will Ospreay.
Good. That should be good.
Kazuchika Okada versus Tanga Loa.
It's Okada. It'll be fine. It's an Okada match.
But this is the block finals, is my point.
Yeah.
Taichi versus Great-O-Khan. And Yoshihashi versus Kenta. The all caps match.
Yeah, to me that seems like Okada's winning the tournament and then it's deciding second place for other people.
You mean the block?
Yes, deciding the second place of the blocks.
Yeah. We'll have Eddie Kingston versus David Finlay, which feels like a decider.
Yep.
Shingo Takagi versus Evil, which also feels like a decider.
Mm-hmm.
Tama Tonga versus Aaron Hanare, and Tomohiro Ishii versus Mikey Nichols. Could you say Ishii and Nichols are out more than that match?
Tama Tonga could play spoiler maybe for somebody. Yeah.
He could get in like Master Wato did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then D Block Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Tetsuya Naito. So there you go.
Solid.
Hiroki Goto versus Zack Sabre Jr., Jeff Cobb versus Shane Haste, and Toru Yano versus Alex Coughlin.
God. God. Yano versus Alex Coughlin.
Anytime I say Toru Yano, you're just like,
I just roll my eyes to the back of my skull.
We'll do a full preview for the G1 and give our predictions, but those blocks are definitely interesting.
To say the least, they are definitely.
When does the G1 start?
The G1 will officially begin. Let me pull up my calendar here. The G1 will officially begin July. Come on, load. All right, here we go. July 15th. July 15th, the same day as Impact Slammiversary. Fun fact. July 15th, going all the way to August 13th. The day after Triple Mania.
It's a lot of wrestling.
It's the summer, baby. We got a lot of wrestling coming down the pipe. Let's talk about some wrestling that real quickly. Let's talk about some wrestling that we watched real quickly. New Japan Dominion took place June 4th. That was
we actually talked about this. I looked it up.
We did? I swear we did not talk about this show. Are you sure?
I think we recorded on the 5th.
Uh-huh.
Which was the day after Dominion.
Are you sure? Are you positive?
Well, that's unless you uploaded our episode a day late.
Oh, yeah, we did talk about Dominion. You're right. Yeah, we did talk about Dominion. Well, that makes my job easier. Moving on to All Together Again. All Together Again, the show between New Japan, All Japan, and Noah. What are your overall thoughts on this show? What did you take away? What did you like from this show?
I felt we were all together again, and I think that means a lot. I think really filled my heart with a lot of joy that we were all together again, and there was only one match worth watching on this show.
And that was?
The main event of the evening.
You want to sing some praises? Because I know you have some praises to sing.
Oh, I got so many praises to sing. I actually watched the majority of this card. I thought
I think I watched everything on this card.
I think everything was pretty good to fine, but no. The main event, folks. I mean, you got Kento Miyahara, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kaito Kiyomiya versus Kazuchika Okada, Kano, and Yuma Aoyagi. And if you watch this match, or if you watched All Together Again and you went in blindly of like knowing who the big stars are, I don't know how you watch Kento Miyahara and think he's not one of the biggest stars in the world. And I just sat there and I was like, how is this guy in All Japan? Like, how is he not on a bigger pedestal? Because when he shows up to these shows, he gets the reaction you'd hope for. And it tells me that he is doing something right, even if All Japan isn't always doing something right. Kaito and Okada. These two are writing checks that no one else can cash. They are the rivalry of the year. It's over. It's done. No one's coming back. The rivalry of the year has been locked up, folks. And we have had one singles match between them. Everything else is tag matches. Tag matches.
And there is a good chance we don't have another singles match from the G1 with them.
No, this has it, and I remember when we talked about it when it was made a feud essentially earlier this year. It has done everything to bring up Kaito Kiyomiya in ways that sadly I don't think Noah can do. It's just the truth. Like, and I think they know that. And that's why they're okay with this being a feud. Because at the end of the day, he's feuding with the biggest wrestler in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And he's benefiting from that. Well, that's why
the Keiji Muto match already happened.
That's why he's not that's why he's not in their tournament. it's because of this feud. He's not in their tournament. They said no, our ace doesn't need to be in our tournament because this feud with Kazuchika Okada is more important. And I think that is very telling of Noah's mindset with Kaito Kiyomiya. And I think it's the right mindset with Kaito Kiyomiya. What else in this match? You had everything in this match. The moments that I got with Kento and Okada, I will cherish forever. I will cherish those moments forever because I was like, why can't I just get this singles match? Why do I gotta get everything else in wrestling but this one singles match? Because oh my god, they're two of the very best in the world today. I thought Yuma Aoyagi playing the peacekeeper between Kano and Kazuchika Okada was very entertaining because those two were like at the beginning were like I don't like each other. And by the end, they were like kind of united trio, which was a lot of fun. Kano, he's been fantastic this year, obviously, without being a champion or world champion. He's been a tag team champion in two different companies. I don't even think he hasn't even been tag champion Noah. I just realized that. He was tag champion All Japan and Dragon Gate.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, he was fantastic in this match because, his character just worked so well off of everyone. It was such a great main event. It for me was like it was the perfect way to follow that trios match from Dominion. It was like here's another great trios match. And Okada, man, he's just the best. He's the best in the world right now. And I just don't like I know you and me have talked about it with like Kenny. Like when Kenny's on, there's probably no one better. And that's true. Anytime Kenny's in a match, it's like, we're how high is this going stars wise? But as the complete package right now, it's Okada and everyone else.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Okada's fantastic. Kiyomiya, you're right in that Kiyomiya, they are building him to be we talked about this with Justin Nipper last week in our interview with him, which if you haven't heard it, check it out. It's a good interview. But we talked about it, like, what does Noah have to do post Muto and build up Kaito Kiyomiya more because of how that sort of all shook out. It kind of built up Kiyomiya. It kind of didn't. But to get him over the top and get him to a bigger audience, it's this feud that is, catching fire with Okada. And putting him the G1 is the right idea. It gets Kiyomiya some more experience, granted with a lot of guys who are less experienced than him. But we'll get him experience with Sonata. It will get him. If I said that right, if Chase Owens is the guy that's like, hey, this guy was good, this guy is good, maybe Chase Owens is the guy that puts in the good word for management on Kaito Kiyomiya. And maybe this eventually gets Kiyomiya into New Japan. That will suck more for Noah, but Muto will be happy about that, I'm sure. And I'm sure Kaito Kiyomiya would also be happy about that. You're trying to make a bigger star here, and Noah needs a bigger star. And hopefully, coming out of the G1 Climax, Noah has something. They are investing. They're putting their money into the Kaito Kiyomiya G1 Climax thing. The N1 will be slightly less interesting because of it. But they will sacrifice
Worth
that.
it.
What's that?
Worth it.
Yeah, you're right. Assuming it works, it will be completely worth it. Ideally worth it when they come out of it on the other side.
It has worked so far. So I have all the confidence that a big match at Wrestle Kingdom as the payoff that will work too. Will Kaito Kiyomiya ever beat Okada? I think that's the big story, right? He has to almost, but we'll wait and see. But I'm with you. I think, and the M1 gets announced this week, so we'll get to talk about it next week. I think it's on the Corkin that they're announcing it on the 22nd. But I talked to Justin about this when Kaito said he wasn't going to be in the M1. So I'll just share here. It's a good chance for Noah to take some chances, right? Do something different. Kaito won the M1 last year, but now that he's not in there, it's like, all right, who's going to win their big signature tournament, right? And I think that's an exciting thing for them. They have a chance to go with some newer guys, but it's still scary. But I'm really excited just about everything Okada and Kaito are doing.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about pretty much all the companionship between New Japan, Noah, and All Japan, because it's like it just makes wrestling better. Like this match here, while on paper some people may look at it's just a trios match, it was a special trios match. It was the best of the best, all going head to head to head.
Hmm.
And in the end, it was Tanahashi taking the fall.
Yeah.
It wasn't even right. It wasn't Kaito. It wasn't Kento.
Hmm.
It wasn't Yuma. It wasn't Kano.
Yeah.
It was Tanahashi. And I think that's kind of the perfect way to work this.
Completely agree. Completely agree. The rest of the show I thought was fine to good. I'm going to give special praise to the big Beef Boy match: Goto Ishii Yoshihashi versus Masaki Amiya, Yoshiki Inamura, and Daki
I thought
Inaba.
that was the second best match of the show.
That match freaking ruled, my guy. That was beef extraordinaire. That's was so good. That was so good. I love that match so much. The only other match I feel like I kind of liked was the 6-man junior tag. Amakusa, Aoyagi, and Takahashi versus Hayata, Master Wato, and Rising Hayato. I thought that was pretty good. Otherwise, a lot of stuff was, fine to good. What do you think of the Shota Umino Yoshitatsu match? Did you watch that one?
I did.
And
I did. Shota Umino did his best. Yoshitatsu's really bad.
yeah.
That said, I don't think he was as bad as I've seen him, if that makes sense.
That's fair.
Well, good,
Mm-hmm.
but Shooter did his best. I'll say that. Shooter won. He beat a former WWE guy. I guess that was the point.
Yeah, that's it works. It works. But altogether, again, these shows are always fine. They're always fine to good matches. There's nothing. Maybe there's one great match out of here, and there was in the main event there. Of course, we'll have another jumbled inter-promotional match, kind of at Forbidden Door, and I guess in a sense, but also All Star Junior Festival in the U.S. is coming up as well. So that should be exciting. And I think that's post G1. So that should also be very intriguing. So wrestler news. There's a lot of news that popped up of wrestlers in the past couple weeks. Let's get to some of them now. Roosh made a lot of headlines when he announced all of a sudden that him and his father are going independent and no longer working with AAA. This comes a week before Triple Mania in Tijuana, where he is tag teaming with LA Park versus Sam Adonis and Psycho Clown in a match that if they lost, they would then presumably be the main event of the Triple Mania in Mexico City in August. That match, at this point in time, no one knows if it's happening because if Roosh currently says he doesn't want to work with AAA, no one knows what happened in AAA, why he's like, I'm out all of a sudden. This isn't the first time that he has left a promotion high and dry like this. Happened in 2019 with CMLL. Granted, there was other instances there. Well, hopefully it's not the last. I don't want to see him do that with AEW. But we'll see. What does it mean? This also comes at a time where he's having visa stuff with AEW. I think we heard that he has a 1-year contract with AEW. So his contract is probably running out, if not over already. His brother's in NXT. Where could Roosh be going? Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Who the heck knows? What do you think, Scotty, about Roosh's constant dilemmas?
I don't blame anyone for leaving AAA. I'll tell you that right now. That promotion, man, they upset me greatly. I have a lot of people will just kind of point to, oh, it's Roosh being Roosh again. And, it probably is. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say it's not.
Yeah.
But I will also say that I do think it will be interesting to see where he pops up next. Because I just don't know if he's going to be signed to a long-term deal with AEW.
Mhm.
I know some people have said, well, it makes sense to do so. But how do you say that after he just walked out of a company?
Yeah.
In all seriousness, how can you make that pitch? I know he's been great in AEW. I've loved a lot of what he's done.
Mm-hmm.
He's done a lot of good work.
Mm-hmm.
But how can you, in all seriousness, be Tony Khan, watch this guy pretty much just get up and leave AAA and be like, oh, yeah, I got to give this guy a long-term deal now?
Yeah.
You can't. You just can't. And I think that's a shame for a lot of us. But hey, if we have to go on a 1-year deal basis with Roosh and you can never really get fully behind him because of this, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Would I love if Roosh had a international or TNT title reign? Absolutely. But you just can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
Just the-
he's a gamble of a man. He's a gamble of a wrestler. If you want to push him,
Andrade's a bigger gamble in a lot of ways. But yeah,
oh yeah, I mean Andrade has a history of injuries, is older than Roosh, if I'm not mistaken. So for sure,
and he fights people in the back and
he fights people in the back,
leaves companies,
Uh-huh.
and he does the whole thing. But
and he's a guy
but-
that's still trying to figure out his size too.
yeah,
That's true.
sure is.
But yeah, Roosh, I don't know, man. I mean, do you think there's any possibility? You know, of course, it's AAA. They could figure out all of a sudden, then he does the show. You know, he does Triple Mania. You know, that's totally possible. Do you think there's any possibility that he is freeing up his Mexico commitments, his contract comes due with AEW, then maybe he finds his way over to Vince McMahon's office?
No.
What do you think that meeting would be like? Imagine that.
I don't think Vince goes into his office much anymore, so that instantly.
Yeah. Or I guess Triple H and Roosh in the same room together.
Hey, you should be proud of my work. I don't put people over like you did it, and that's probably the whole conversation.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he'll go there. It would be wild if he did.
Roosh in WWE
Yeah, it'd be wild.
is like the wildest thought.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he doesn't leave AEW because he's doing great. He's doing his best career work there, from what I've seen.
100%. Completely agree.
I can't give you like a real reason to give him a long-term contract though.
He's unreliable. He's unreliable.
You would have to be silly to do that.
I agree. Speaking about AEW contracts, it was reported by Fightful that EJ Nduka, former MLW Tag Team Champion and former WWE trainee, has apparently signed a contract with AEW. We had a feeling that they were looking at him. They were feeling that he might be looking at a contract. And according to Fightful, he has been signed, at least for a little while. And they're just waiting to do something with him. What would you do with EJ Nduka in AEW?
I'm sure he'll end up being someone's like heavy or bodyguard of some sort. Just kind of the role if he feels like he's destined for.
Mm-hmm.
With who? No idea. I don't. The thing with Nduka is that he obviously has the look, right? He has the
size.
look. He has the size. There is something there.
He's a fine wrestler. He's fine.
But I don't know. He didn't seem like a signing that necessarily made all the sense for AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he left MLW, I didn't just like say, "Oh, he needs to sign with them." Like it's just not how I ever felt.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where his spot would be other than kind of maybe Ring of Honor. Maybe that's a better spot for him. I'd maybe stick him there.
Yeah.
Rather than on AEW stuff, because I don't really want to see him just be a heavier security, type guy. We have enough of that. It's exactly what you'd expect for a guy like Nduka, who I think give him the reps, give him the right opponents. Maybe you could spark something. And I think that's why Ring of Honor exists in the first place.
Yeah.
So maybe I'd do that instead.
Yeah, at one point in time when he wrestled on Dark or Elevation or whatever it was, I said that he would have been a good fit if you really wanted to use him right away. Replace Trench and Bordeaux with Nduka. That would have been a better fit. But now that like Swerve has like moved on to the Swerve Embassy and has all these other guys, and Duca, I don't think would work there. Now it's just like, yeah, I completely agree. If we're not gonna like have him as a big heavy lurking in the background and that he can get reps somewhere else on the side, Ring of Honor makes sense. You know, in AEW and Collision and Dynamite and stuff, I don't know where he fits. I don't think he fits. Maybe that's one of the reasons we haven't seen him. I don't know where he fits at all right now.
Right.
It remains to be seen, but we'll see what happens. You know, maybe we do Towers of Destruction or whatever that was called in the old WCW tag team with Powerhouse Hobbs and EJ and Duca as a tag team. Maybe we do that. I don't know. Maybe that's something. Get him away from QT Marshall a little bit. That could be fun. I don't know. It just feels like I don't really know what to do with this guy. But you know, more reps. He needs them, so he'll get better. Hopefully. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna put him in a tag team, maybe you put him with someone that's like that doesn't have a place. Like he would have been the type of guy that maybe fit in the firm once upon a time.
Yeah, agreed.
Um, but yeah, I don't know.
But
I don't know. I
You
don't
also got Big Bill in there, and you know,
love Big Bill. Love
I'd
Big
rather
Bill.
have Big Bill than AJ and Duca. No offense to EJ, but you gotta love Big Bill.
Gotta.
You gotta love Big Bill. Other news: two wrestlers have seemingly retired in the past week as well. I don't know if you heard about this. Doug Williams, a UK-based wrestler, he's wrestled in NWA recently. Doug Williams seemingly has retired, along with AC Mack, Southeast Georgia wrestler, who is well known for being a very loud-spoken talker, great person on the mic, has also seemingly retired from pro wrestling. Any thoughts on Doug Williams or any thoughts on AC Mack?
I wish them the best in their post wrestling careers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure AC Mack will come back.
I hope he does. That guy was such a good talker, and I always felt like he just needs to get out of the Southeast.
Yeah,
And
he had a good indie run.
That
Leading up to becoming the indie wrestle. What the hell is the belt called?
IWTV
Yeah.
belt. Yeah. That was a really good run. His pandemic run into the IWTV title belt was a really good run for him. And then once he won it, and everything after that just lost all steam and completely fell off the face of the earth. I wish AC Mack got more opportunities than he did. He's a really good wrestler. And he's great on the microphone. I always thought he would be great in AEW. You know, that place thrives on microphone talkers. I think they could have had a spot there, but alas, seemingly has retired. There's also CMLL has also announced that Pantera Del Ring Jr. will now become Mascara Dorado 2.0, and he'll be teaming up with Atlantis and the returning Metalik in a trios match on July 14th. That's right. The former Mascara Dorado, now known as Metalik, will be teaming up with the new Mascara Dorado 2.0, formerly known as Pantera Del Ring Jr.
I'm friends with someone who follows Lucha, and they were explaining how it's fine with Metalik, the original Mascara Dorada not coming back, and then almost immediately after they announced it, Metalik was announced coming back, and I was
100%.
like, that is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Uh-huh.
I don't like having 2.0 in the name.
Yeah, why not just 2? They've done that a lot with just like, this person too. Why 2.0?
Right. Like, is this supposed to be like a new thing?
Don't know.
At least we're not gonna have a Mystico situation. Mm-hmm. At least it doesn't feel like we will, because Metalik's just sticking with Metalik, and I think that's fine. That's the one thing I was worried about. I was like, are we gonna have Mascara Dorada 2 if like Metalik ever wants the name back? I know Del Ring Jr., whatever the hell his name is,
Pantera Del Ring Jr.
I know he's really good.
Yeah.
And like he's going to be a big star, so maybe that's why they're giving him this name. And I know he's going to be facing El Desperado.
Yes.
It's part of the
Fantastica Mania tour.
Fantastica Mania in Mexico. So definitely seems like they're trying to give him a big spot instantly. I think that's great for him. I just wish that didn't have 2.0 in the name. I would have called him Mascara Dorada 2 and called it day.
Maybe he's a big NXT fan.
Mascara Dorada Dos 0.0.
Point.
Ugh. NXT 2.0.
Point zero.
Disgusting. Nasty.
I think the idea of giving him that mask means that they see something in him and they are trying to develop something
For
with
sure.
him. So we'll see what happens down the line with him.
Is he the king of the ropes?
We'll find out. Maybe he's the prince. Maybe he's the prince of the ropes. Who knows? Impact Against All Odds took place this past week, 2 weeks ago. And I thought this was a really good show. I thought this was
Are you gonna say it about Impact?
Is Impact back? I don't know if it's back because
it never went in it.
What was it? Under Siege? What was the other show that happened 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it was Under Siege.
Under Siege was solid. Under Siege was solid, and this show was good. So I guess I'll say this, Scotty. For right now, I think they're back. I think we're back on Impact, baby.
They did the thing that I thought they were going to be scared to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was give the Motor City Machine Guns their 2 singles belts.
Yeah.
And for that alone, this is the most interesting Impact has been in forever.
Yeah.
No offense to Josh Alexander and his long run. He did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the most interesting they've been in forever. That interests me much more than anything they could do. And listen, I like Steve Maclin. Kind of upset for Steve Maclin that he's already done.
Mm-hmm.
But I also thought Steve Maclin was miscast as a heel to begin with. So you can build him back up. I really, 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 really hope this isn't a 1-match win for Alex Shelley. Because Alex Shelley deserves a title reign.
Mm-hmm.
But Impact, they're top 3 champions. I mean, and their tag can't get much better than Shelley, Sabin, Peraza, and ABC, huh? That's like the best set of champions they've had in. We're not going to talk about Joe Hendry. But that's like the best set of champions they've had in forever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good looking lineup. Alex Shelley, of course, beat Steve Maclin for the Impact World title. Chris Sabin finally beat Trey Miguel for the X Division title. So we got them 9-time, baby. Both matches I thought were pretty good too. I'm sort of upset because I liked the Under the Siege ending with Steve Maclin, bloody as can be, hands outstretched, bloody as can be. I thought that was a perfect image. Ending it immediately is kind of upsetting, but I'm okay completely of let's go the Alex Shelley route. There's a solid chance we'll have this title for a month because in the 8-4-1 match, Nick Aldis won that. So it's Slammiversary will be Alex Shelley versus Nick Aldis.
And we saw why they didn't want it to be Steve Maclin. Because they wanted to turn Aldis heel.
Which makes sense. Aldis being heel is better anyways.
Yeah.
So they did that. They did that the next Thursday on Impact. I don't know. So coming out of that, I'm happy. I'm gonna enjoy Alex Shelley winning right now. Nick Aldis, I'm higher on Nick Aldis than you are.
You're a big Magnus guy.
I'm a big
You're
time
a Magnus maniac.
I'm a Magnus maniac. I think he's fine as a heel. I think he's good. I think he's an interesting person for Impact. Him winning the title, I think, is totally feasible. And then maybe Josh Alexander will come back. I have no idea when he's going to come back, honestly. But I also know like Nick Aldis has only like a 1-year deal, so it's just sort of like, yeah, if he has a 1-year deal, I understand giving the title to him. I don't know. I'm just going to enjoy and relish in Alex Shelley winning right now. I think I can fully see him as being a transitional champion, and I think he's a solid transitional champion. I think he can have title defenses. He's obviously defending the title in Wagga Wagga, Australia or New Zealand against Steve Macklin. He'll probably have other title defenses on TV. So, I'm going to relish in what it is right now, and we'll see what happens in July, I guess.
You really just want to say Wagga Wagga.
Of course I did. That 8-4-1 match, by the way, sucked.
Yeah, did not like it.
It's
Bully Ray's bad.
all about Bully Ray in the worst ways possible. He did a callback to his ball gimmick, his ball shot gimmick.
I like how you said in all the worst ways possible, as if there's any good callbacks for Bully Ray.
Great point. The Ohio Street fight was really, really good. The crowd was completely into this match.
You're a madman, full Daniac.
I'm a madman and Magnus team. That's what I need. The Madman Magnus group.
That's the world title match they should be booking.
Not Macklin and Magnus. Madman and Magnus. The Ohio Street fight I thought was really, really good. The crowd was completely into it. They made this match so much better than it was. It was really good. Really, really good. I don't know. Did you have any other thoughts about this show? I thought the Impact World Tag Team title was actually pretty good too. I thought the Good Hands did a good job.
I think it's funny that Impact is so much better on their Impact specials than they do their
They always are. They always are.
It's not a good trend.
No. Be good on the pay-per-views, my guys.
That said, I mean they have maybe their two biggest. They probably have their two biggest matches for a pay-per-view in a long time with Deanna and Trinity and Aldis and Shelley. So
Agreed.
That should be a decent show. Hopefully ABC has a good opponents of some sort. I don't know who, but hopefully they have some good ones. And yeah, I'm not gonna say Impact's back, but I'm gonna say Impact's watchable.
They're treading water right now.
I mean they gave Alex Shelley the belt like I wanted them to.
Yeah.
So I can't be upset with them for that. Chris Sabin's a champion too, so
exactly. And Chris Sabin's good. Chris Sabin's real good right now. The only other thought I had is yeah, you can skip that dog collar match. Dog collar matches. Not that good. Not that good of a match.
I did skip it. I was like, oh, I love Masha. Can't do it.
Well, the problem with that match is that in the mind of a wrestling fan and maybe a person diving into Impact, and if you're an Impact fan, maybe it was fun for you, but a person that watches all of the wrestling, going off of the many dog collar matches that have happened in AEW that were all great, and going to this match, they had high expectations that they did not meet. Masa Slamovich, I think, did the best she could. I think she did a lot of cool things. I thought Killer Kelly, she was there. She was in the match.
That's better than what you usually say.
She held her own, I guess, and was able to sell. No, there was parts where she sold poorly. I just don't like her. And yeah, I guess everything else was fair. I'm fine with Impact. I'm cool with it right now. I'm watching it. I'm not hating it.
Impact's Ryan's A show.
Hey, is Impact?
It goes Impact on Access, Dynamite, Collision, and everything else.
Well, you forgot MLW Fusion, of course.
That's disgusting.
Dude, what are you talking about? Delmy Exo just beat Taya Valkyrie for the title. What are you talking about?
Wait a minute. You definitely actually watch.
No, I'm behind on my MLW Fusion watching.
I'd probably keep it that way.
Let's get to our last topic here. If you can believe it, we're sub 2 hours. Stardom Sunshine, the show that's also taking place the same day as Forbidden Door.
Yeah, we're not recording at 9 a.m.
No, we are not. No, we are not. We'll figure out when we're recording because we can't record at 9 a.m. because you gotta watch Stardom, of course.
And then we're recording that night.
Recording that night for Forbidden Door. So we'll figure that out. Maybe it's a Monday record or something. Either way.
What?
Well, no, we can't do a Monday record because you're at work. You're at work.
Also, but why would we do Monday? That's after Forbidden Door.
I don't know, man. We'll figure it out. We gotta talk about that. But this show happening the same day as Forbidden Door. So can we confirm it here now, Scotty? Now that there's a show with I don't know. Just looking at the
Oh
card.
yeah, I forgot. I was away. I was away for all that.
Yeah.
I was away for those conversations.
Yeah, I'm looking at the card right here. It looks like every single Joshi wrestler that works of Stardom under the sun is working this show. Do you think any of them will be able to make it to Canada?
No.
But what about the visas, Scotty?
No. 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 It's time for me to talk. I knew there was something bubbling in me that I haven't got to talk about forever.
I always know what Scotty needs to talk about when he needs to get off his chest.
Remember when you said we were sub an hour? Too late now. Oh my god. This that was a hellstorm. AEW, I'm going to talk from the side of, obviously Stardom is my promotion. I get it. I cover it all the time, blah, blah, blah. I get it. So people may listen to me and be like, oh, you hate AEW. Have you not just heard me praise AEW for the past 3 hours?
I feel like you were
what are
more
you
positive on Collision than I was.
I was more positive. See? Look at me being positive. But oh my god, the AEW Stardom conversation is the most frustrating conversation you can hear. Because on one side, you have people hating on Joshi fans, right? Oh, you don't want these wrestlers to go, or you're gatekeeping, blah, blah, blah. And then on the other side is the whole AEW mega fan mindset of, well, I want not only this wrestler to come in, but I want them to lose to the AEW wrestler. And then you know what that always leads to? We should sign this wrestler too. AEW should sign this wrestler. It happens every single time.
Mhm.
If anyone, what do you mean? Shuri losing to Toni Storm isn't better than whatever she's doing on this show. I don't know if you hear yourself, but if you follow Stardom, if you follow Stardom at all, you know that Shuri is like the most protected wrestler in the company.
Mhm.
You're not just gonna send her over to lose to Toni Storm. It's just not gonna happen that way. It's just not. And I firmly believe, and I've believed this since I read it, that AEW might just be saying what they said to make people happy.
Mhm.
Do I think they put a call out to make, see if something can work? Absolutely. Do I think Tony Khan and Rossi were on the phone talking about it? Not a chance. I don't.
I mean, Tony Khan explicitly said, not when he was talking about Stardom wrestlers, he said he was talking to Rocky Romero about it.
Yeah, correct. I think people have made this a headache on both sides to pretty much ruin the fun for everyone. And I think that's the shame of it. Because, yeah, would it be cool to see a Stardom wrestler on Forbidden Door? Absolutely.
Of course.
But it has to be the right situation. I don't want it to just happen just to say it happened.
Mhm.
Otherwise, yeah, you're going to get someone lower on the roster rather than a Shuri, because that's obviously who you're going to want. You're going to want Shuri or Kairi. You're going to aim high. Like, I always thought Kairi, IWGP champion, or Mercedes. Those were the only options for this show, and we were going to get Mercedes.
I'm glad you brought up Mercedes. If she wasn't injured, and presumably she was going to be on this show, as per what Tony Khan has kind of alluded to.
Yep.
Do you think this Stardom conversation would have happened this year?
Nope.
Exactly.
People would have been fine.
Yeah. It was going to happen. The Mercedes was going to be on the show and wrestling Toni Storm, probably, or teaming up or doing something.
Was it Saraya?
Well, I don't know.
I know they were going. I think it was going to be Saraya probably for the title.
It probably would have been like a tag team match or something.
That would have worked too.
Willow and Mercedes versus Saraya and Toni Storm. Either way,
fine.
She was going to be on the show. If that was the plan, it fell through. And Stardom has already booked every other person besides Fukigen Death, making the save yet again, maybe. Now let's get Fukigen Death on the show.
That would be awesome.
It still can happen.
Yeah.
I'll fly her out personally.
Flying out Kaori Oniyama to wrestle Toni Storm.
Why not? Who cares?
In the death, in the clown gosh.
She will get over huge.
That's so true. That's very true.
So I say do it. But nonetheless, Yeah, the conversation, the whole Stardom AEW conversation would not be happening if Mercedes was on the show as per plan.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just Twitter people complaining with, even though they know all these other facts that are true, they're just complaining to complain. It's bad faith arguments is what it is.
It's really both sides.
Oh yes, 100%.
Too. Like I want to stress that because some people think I'm going to defend one side or the other. No, it was both sides the entire time being very obnoxious about it, very rude about it. Um and it was very unfortunate because I think the excitement of, and now listen, I'm going to be honest, I don't get all too jazzed about certain Stardom versus AEW matchups. I don't. There's just not a lot there. It's like, oh, I want to see, versus Jamie Hayter. Well, she's not around.
Yeah, she's injured.
So, and Jamie Hayter, I don't know if people know this, she was in Stardom. That's all the people that anyone's like, oh, they should go against this. Oh, so you want the Stardom versus Stardom matches essentially because no one wants anything besides that. It's Tony or Jamie. That's all you ever hear. And I think those are the only two people that maybe they'd be willing to work with too, Stardom, because that's like the only two people maybe that really interest them. But here's the other thing: there's never the other side of this. Oh, what does Stardom get out of it?
Yeah.
What, right? Because they're gonna lose.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the truth, unless they do like a tag.
Yeah.
And I saw someone pitch a really good idea. It was like have Shuri team up with Sheeta against two of the Outcasts,
Yeah.
and then that can be a way to get Sheeta a match,
Mhm.
a title match. But at least you had Shuri on there. I was like, that would be fine. But that's not going to happen. That's the thing with all these dream matches. Everyone is booking one person to lose to the other. It's just not going to work that way because these companies aren't working daily. And I don't see them sending over Tony Storm or Jamie Hayter anytime soon to a Stardom show. Now, I think those two would be willing. Jamie definitely would be. She talks about it enough. But you're not going to do that right now.
It's probably a
And
specific Twitter account you can verify that information.
yeah, for sure. And I think it's okay. Stardom has their own pay-per-view. They're running against it. They're not running against Forbidden Door purposely.
Mhm.
This is just how the lineups work.
Yep.
Like, I don't think like they're like, oh, that's when Forbidden Door is. Yeah, we're booking a pay-per-view that day. That's not how this works.
Mhm.
They're booking a pay-per-view based off scheduling in Japan. And guess what? They're the number one promotion in Japan that weekend because New Japan's over in America. Sorry, Canada, but they're over in North America.
Yep.
Right? Like that's the difference. That they see this as, okay, this is our weekend. We're the number one promotion here. Let's take advantage in Tokyo. Book a pay-per-view. That's how the mindset goes. And I think it's fine keeping them separated. It's fine right now. It'll happen eventually, I'm sure of it. But it just doesn't need to happen on the show as just another match. You're getting Okada dance. You're getting all these other things.
Yeah.
Like, I know it sucks for the women when the show comes around. It does. But that's what the NXT, Jesus. Ugh. The New Japan strong women's titles for now.
And that's what Mercedes was going to do.
Yeah. And I think majority of people would have been perfectly fine with that.
I completely agree. That I will say though, it happened last year. It's going to happen every year until like Stardom talent's on the show.
Yep.
I
don't know. I think if Mercedes was on the show, I wouldn't have to hear about it.
But she's not. But ultimately, she's not on the show this year, so we're going to hear it again.
Tell her to not get hurt.
I agree. I will say this: if you're Tony Khan and you just want to nip it in the bud, just
stop.
Well, no, legitimately, I joke about it, but legitimately, just fly Fukigen Death over, put her in a pre-show match against like Emi Sakura, and call it a day.
Yeah.
Just do that, and that is one small thing that will cause a bunch of people to shut up, and just move on, and we can be like, all right, cool, and then we'll move on to the next show after that. She's not booked,
that, or
just do that. Who cares? People will shut up after that.
I mean, I firmly believe that if you're not seriously trying, you don't have to say you are. Like, you just don't. I just don't think there's that much interest between the parties right now.
Completely agree.
because they're both working on something very different.
And Stardom doesn't need it.
No,
Stardom does
that's
not need it.
there's a reason the Japan Strong Women's title was made. The IWGP Women's title was originally supposed to be defended around the world, technically. So in America,
Mm-hmm.
hasn't happened. It's not happening.
No.
Things have changed.
Uh-huh.
But that's enough of the AEW Stardom conversation. I just wanted to say that both sides were being ridiculous. It's going to happen when it happens. I don't think we need to make it a big deal every single year. I know we're going to, but we don't need to.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. Well, let's talk Stardom Sunshine. This is an interesting show, a generational show, maybe. So there's some generational rival stuff happening here. We got the main event being a steel cage match with a crap ton of people in it. We got Lady C, Hina, Utami Hayashishita, Saya Kamatani, Azune, and Miyu Amasaki versus Natsuka Toro, Saki Kashima, Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, Ruaka, and Arena.
See, the easier way to say it is it's Oedo Tai versus Queen's Quest.
Exactly right. Oedo Tai versus Queen's Quest in a steel cage match is your main event.
Yeah, and the last person remaining in the cage has to leave their unit.
Yes.
Of course, this comes off the story of Utami kind of losing confidence in Queen's Quest. They're not really vibing with her as leader right now. It started with Saya Kamatani and her, and now it's kind of become the whole faction.
Mhm.
And who better to oppose them is Oedo Tai, of course, the faction that works best together. I've convinced myself that it's probably just going to be like a Lady C exit rather than one of the big time players. Because I think there's a longer story here than just Utami or Saya or Azumi leaving. And I think Lady C doesn't really click in Queen's Quest. I think she should go to DDM anyways. So I think that kind of works as a double way. And then you continue the story forward, and eventually we're building to an Utami Saya match. I think we all know that one way or the other.
And to be clear, it is not swapping factions. It is just no longer being a part of whatever faction they're in.
Yeah, once they stated it that way, my thoughts towards the match change. Though I've also sold myself on the idea that you leave Utami and Saya in there as the last two, and then like you actually have to see them fight to see who leaves the faction.
That could be very dramatic.
It'd be very dramatic. It'd be very different because obviously you're expecting it to come down to like Lady C and Saki Kashima or something.
Yeah.
Rather than two people on the same side. But I think that'd be interesting. But yeah, cage match is back.
Yeah, baby. There's also other matches on the show. There's the 6-woman tag team steel cage match for the Arts of Stardom Championship. Julia Tekla, Mai Sakurai defending their titles against Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki, and Kagama. There is a Goddess of Stardom title match with Ami Sourei and Mirai defending against Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May. Will she finally get a title, Mariah May?
First title match?
I think she does. 6-woman tag team match: Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Kairi versus Maika, Suzu Suzuki, and Mai Sourei. Mai Saraya? Sarah. Thank you. A passion injection match: Nai Takahashi versus Hanako. Can you describe to me what a passion injection match is?
It is Nanai's matches against the younger talent. Essentially, it's like her branded, like trying to get the best out of them, and since she yells passion all the time, that's her thing. We've called them passion injection matches.
Perfect. There's also the aforementioned Shuri versus Zaina.
This is, mind you, Zena's final match of her tour, so it does have people will look at it and be like, "Oh, this is all Shuri's doing." It is a meaningful match to Xena. It's a big final singles match before she heads off back to Australia, I'm sure, for a little bit. Hopefully she comes back soon, though.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And then, of course, the opener as well. Momo Kogo, Hanan, and Saida versus Waka Tsukiyama, Mizumori, and Sakura Aya. I mean, steel cage match all over the place for two matches. This should be. I mean, I think this should be a solid show. I don't think there is some generational stuff happening throughout. You talk about like leaving. Lady C leaving as well. There could also, like you said, Utami Saya last in there. That could be interesting. And also sort of go into that generational struggle as well. That could be interesting. Who knows? Um, there's some different elements going all over the place. There's not a clear world title match and wonder title match and all this stuff, but I think there's some elements throughout that will just push a lot of stories forward.
Yeah, they're doing back-to-back pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have pay-per-view the weekend after as well. So this is the final lead up to the 5-star.
Yeah.
It's their final 2 pay-per-views. So lots to cover in the 2 weeks, but should be what I think an overall good way to close out the first half for Stardom.
Yeah, this is part 1 of their big summer shows, I guess. The week after they have Midsummer Champions, and then 1, 2, 3 weeks after that is night 1 of 5-star. So they got a lot of stuff coming up, and this is just the kicking it off as it were.
Yep, big. So, they're not stopping.
Of course not.
The 5-star starts on the 23rd. It's packed. It's stuffed. 20 people. Best of the best. Plain and simple.
Completely
agree. Should be a lot of fun.
Should be a lot of fun. That is it for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. We did it all. We got all of the things left. Is there any other wrestling topics that we didn't talk about that you want to get off your chest, Scotty? Any rants left that they've been piling up for 2 weeks that you need to get off your chest?
Did you go? If I looked hard enough, probably.
Mm-hmm. What was your what? We didn't talk about it too much, but what was your big takeaway from vacation? What did you like about Cali?
I like the weather, even though it rained multiple times, and I was like, "What the hell is happening? What? It doesn't rain in California. No. It rained multiple times.
Famously, it's too dry out there."
Yeah, but it was they're not in a drought anymore. So congratulations, though. A lot of mountains. Don't like mountains. Mountains bad.
Was there a lot of hiking involved, or just a lot of mountains?
So we traveled, like you said. We actually went from Canyon City, Nevada, because we were visiting family there, to Anaheim, and there's Angeles National Forest, I think.
Sure.
Which is pretty much driving 25 miles on the side of a mountain. It was terrible. I hated it. And we were driving in clouds.
Oof.
That's how high it was.
Wow.
I wanted to throw up.
Wow. I've done stuff like that in the Appalachian, and it's terrifying.
It was awful. I did not like it. That's not a big fan. Everything else was good though.
In Anaheim, did you go to Anaheim because you were going to Disneyland?
Yeah, we went there for only like a day or 2. It was a lot of traveling, but
that's fair.
It was fun. How's California Adventure?
How's the Marvel stuff?
It's good. Could be better.
Okay.
As in, like the Guardians. So the Guardians remade Tower of Terror is really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Very busy though because the new movie came out, so a little upsetting. But
fun fact: a lot of the props from the new movie were used in the making of that ride. Fun fact. And why do I know that? Did I tell you this? My fiance worked on Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yes.
So she knows all that stuff. Which, fun fact, see that movie. Her name is in the credits. I can point it out to you on Disney Plus later. Well, whenever it comes out.
I thought that was good. They should do more with it, I think, because like they added a Spider-Man like ride type thing where it's kind of like Toy Story Mania where you're trying to get points and stuff by slinging webs.
But isn't it like you're actually doing your hands or something? Like you're actually doing the Spider-Man
which was
hands?
cool. That was cool. If you're a big Spider-Man fan like I am, that was cool. Um,
It feels
I think
when they built it, it felt like they were trying to like build a quick land expansion real quickly before they had like a lot of actual
yeah.
ideas.
Yeah, that's kinda how it feels when you walk in there. It's like, "Oh, they kinda added this real quick," and California Adventure's not big either. It's not like Disney
No,
World, right?
no.
Where it's like just everything's gigantic.
Mhm.
So, like, it's just a small, like, little land. The Guardians is why you go there. The Spider-Man stuff is cool, and you could see the character stuff walking around. I saw a few of them, but, um, yeah, could be a little better, but it's okay. I know why they can't do it in Disney, but, Universal ain't worth it, so I like Universal, that's the funny thing, but it's a little annoying that they can't. Anyways, I'm done talking.
Well, let's end the show here. Of course, thank you everybody for being with us all episode. If you did not watch the video version and you're somehow listening this without watching the video version, subscribe to the podcast version. Subscribe to the audio feed. We would greatly appreciate it if you did. Every once in a while, we'll drop in audio only episodes of Ring Post Radio. So I think it's very important to subscribe to Ring Post Radio wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever that may be. I think it's very, very important, like we did last week, which was an interview with Noah's global PR representative, Justin Nipper. I thought it was a fascinating interview to learn more about the Noah side of things. So definitely go check that out. That is on the audio only podcast feeds for Ring Post Radio. Also support us at patreon.com/countoutpod, which you can now on Patreon start a free trial, 7-day free trial on patreon.com/countoutpod. So for the first week, you can get, the $5 feed of Countout and listen to as much content as you can within that first week from us. So it's a good way to dip your toes for free into the Patreon feed, and then you can dip your toes more and stick around on those tiers as well. We'll have another episode of Ryan Hasn't Seen Anything coming out tomorrow. What is that match? I don't remember off the top of my head. Let's see. I can pull it up right here. Episode 2. Hopefully there's no audio that comes out here. Let's see. Episode 2 is going to be NXT TakeOver. It's the NXT TakeOver match between Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura. And we watched that for the first time, or I watched that for the first time ever. And that'll be coming out to the patreon.com/countoutpod tomorrow. So definitely go check that out. Scotty, any plugs, and what was your match of the week?
My match oh Jesus. My match of the week that we didn't talk about would be
Good luck. What other matches did you watch this week?
Oh, I did actually watch Dynamite, so I'll say BCC versus the Hung Bucks.
That was a good one.
We don't use Hung Bucks anymore, but I use Hung Bucks still because I think that's a funnier name. That was great. Just nonstop action, bell to bell. I liked Cole and MJF too, but I preferred the main event by far. And gonna have an interview out with Mio Momono again. I think it just came out, so go check that out.
West Coast Pros, Mio Momono.
Yes, the finalist of the Queen of Indies tournament. So go check that out. She talks about a match with Sari, winning the AAAW Championship, Queen of Indies, Mash Slamovich, all that good stuff. And yeah, that's it because I haven't started up anything. I'll probably have a lot of Stardom content the next 2 weeks with 2 pay-per-views. And then 5-Star Grand Prix is right around the corner. So I got to start previewing that as well. And of course, keep listening to Ring Post Radio. We got a lot of good things lined up. And I think Stardom Road came out this past week too.
It did. It came out last week. I was about to say the Mayu Iwatani as double champion episode came out this past week.
Yeah, I didn't promote that until like 3 days after because my scheduling was all messed up.
That's fine.
And I had Twitter notifications off the whole vacation.
That's very smart.
Which was wonderful. Really refreshing. Highly recommend it. Probably highly recommend it for life, but I did it for the vacation. And it was a lot of fun. So thank you, and look forward to being back next week sometime because we're doing a double hit next week.
All the more reason to join the Patreon because we got Forbidden Door post show happening on the Patreon next week, baby.
My
My plugs, follow me on Twitter at Ryan Knightsey. I really don't tweet there at all, but you can follow me there. I don't really have like other plugs beyond the plugs I've already made. But I will say my match of the week was, speaking of, I mentioned them a lot this episode for whatever reason, West Coast Pro. They had a show called Kid Zombie. I think you were in the area possibly for this show. And it had a good match. Had a pretty good match. Kevin Knight versus Brian Keith. I thought it was a really good match. I wasn't as high as other people, and I will say this. I like Brian Keith, but he doesn't click for me for whatever reason all the time. He is one of those guys. You might have a guy like this, Scotty, where it's like someone that everyone likes that for whatever reason you can't really just get into. You don't like, it's not necessarily that they're bad or anything. You understand that they're fine or they're good, but it's just, there's something that is not clicking for you. Adam Cole was also that for me, where it's like there's something about him where it's like,
has it always been Adam Cole for you, or like current Adam Cole?
Current Adam Cole for sure, but I think the difference for I think it's always Adam Cole, honestly.
Sure,
because
that's fair.
Because
previous
injury, it was like I was not really into the Undisputed stuff, and this one, it's like he just looks like a shell of his former self right now. That being said, I gave the match 4 stars this past week, so so maybe he's back. But do you have a guy like that where it's like a Brian Keith, where it's like you understand he's good, people like him a lot, but just something's not clicking for whatever reason?
I have like 15 people.
Fair enough.
Miro would be one of the options.
Sure.
I've always been a guy that's like, I get that he's good. Like, you see the Redeemer stuff. It's like, I get it. He just doesn't. He's not necessarily my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I think
Magnus, of course.
Did you say Magnus?
Yeah, you're not a Magnus maniac.
That's probably more NWA's problem than anything else. I think another guy I feel like that with, and people might get mad at me, but Jeff Cobb for the longest time.
Really?
It took a long time for me to like Jeff Cobb.
Interesting.
Because I always thought he's fine. He has good matches, but I don't think his ceiling is as high as other people think it is. Like, I think he's I guess Ishii, right?
Oh, Ishii.
I've said it on the show.
He's
probably the main one.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So I've liked Ishii more past year than I did prior. And I go back and watch his old matches that I really like now too. Mm-hmm. So I've kind of fallen off that, but for a long time he was the one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Malachi Black too.
Malachi Black is like his like weirdness stuff. That's just like, come on, get it together.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Like I said, there's a lot.
There's a lot of guys.
I have a long list of guys that I'm like, well. But I also have people that I like a lot more than others. So that's kind of how it goes, right? Like, you like Evil more than others.
Well, hold on. I would say I like Tama Tonga more than others. Evil.
That's true.
Evil. Most of it is ironic. Most of it is ironically liking Evil.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah. I guess that's our question of the week, our Ring Post Radio question of the week. What?
I probably like Swerve Strickland more than most people.
No, I think a lot of people like Swerve. I think a lot of people like Swerve right now.
Well, like, I've said he should be world champion. He's still not.
Oh, well, that's AEW's thing.
Yeah, damn it, Tony Khan.
Perfect. Well, I think that's it for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. End it right there. Thank you, everybody, for subscribing to Ring Post Radio. Thank you so much for being along the ride for 100+ episodes. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week with our Forbidden Door post show on patreon.com/CountUpPod, and our other show, which will take place at some time. Follow @CountUpPod to figure out when that will be, probably. Until then, we'll see